This epic tale follows Ignis, a dragon who was once a fearsome monster. However, after the tragic loss of her mother and her brother, Taphas, she was granted a new chance at life by the benevolent Angelus. With renewed purpose, Ignis diligently cultivated her strength and became acutely aware of her burgeoning abilities. Her focus then shifted to relentlessly pursuing vengeance for her brother's demise. To achieve this, she must gather specific artifacts from the top 6 ranked individuals in this world to bring Taphas back from the dead. Ignis pushes forward with unwavering resolve, knowing she must overcome numerous daunting obstacles to finally resurrect her beloved brother. One night, as a dragon unleashes a torrent of fire from its maw, a glowing window suddenly materialized, alerting the guild to a newly uncovered hidden quest titled The Dragon of Despair. Simultaneously, another notification popped up, detailing Taphas's defeat. The on-screen timer now prominently displayed 30 minutes remain. Rush 777, the player ranked 6th, urgently questioned the top-ranked individual about the feasibility of completing this daunting task within such a tight time frame. Cynthia, the 5th-ranked player, scoffed and playfully suggested that Rush 777 could simply retreat if he lacked confidence. A 4th-ranked player with captivating purple eyes, known as Glow, chimed in, noting that their opponent possessed a rough-like essence, but specifically for mana. The 3rd-ranked player was a striking yellow robot with the user ID Nandamic. Harkmorph, a beige-haired girl ranked 2nd, anxiously turned to her OA for reassurance, questioning if it was true that losing was not an option. The top-ranked player, whose eyes gleamed with an enigmatic green light, and whose user ID remained a mystery, calmly declared that even 10 minutes would be plenty. The fire-breathing dragon then let out a furious roar, challenging the humans with a defiant, "How dare they?" A rhythmic, booming sound began to echo through the air. Rush 777 wasted no time on idle chatter, swiftly lunging forward and striking the dragon with his sword. The dragon immediately shrieked in pain as it was attacked. Following the blow, the dragon began to emit a debilitating debuff. Cynthia observed that the dragon had been debuffing earlier, but now it was surprisingly buffing itself. Suddenly, the powerful skill god's declaration of victory was unleashed. The dragon relentlessly bombarded them with streams of fire. Harkmorph urgently instructed Nandamic to hurl her forward, stating she was now ready for action. Nandamic complied, launching Harkmorph directly towards the dragon. Just as she was about to make contact, Harkmorph activated her unlimited form change. She then proceeded to strike the dragon repeatedly with her sword. The monstrous beast fixed its gaze intently on Harkmorph. The top-ranked player, clad in a beige shirt, informed Glow that his unique skill set guaranteed instant death. The dragon, with a fierce glare, slammed its tail against the ground, causing the entire area to rumble violently from the impact. Glow then unleashed his skill, the Undead Tree, attacking the dragon. Harkmorph gracefully leaped towards the monster. A notification appeared, updating them on the remaining time, 21 minutes and 5 seconds. The top-ranked individual then clarified the skill set for everyone present. Rush 777 quickly grasped the explanation. Glow activated his Poison Mist skill, and after unleashing the mist, he donned his skeletal mask. Cynthia then employed her Friendship Affinity, also known as God's second grace skill. Nandamic began to repeatedly strike a mysterious box. Meanwhile, the top-ranked player, clutching a knife, expertly climbed downwards. Harkmorph declared to the top-ranked player that she would launch him into the air. She then gave a powerful shove to the flat platform on which the top-ranked player was standing. With her push, the top-ranked player shot towards the dragon at incredible speed. He expertly struck the dragon with his dagger, and upon impact, a massive explosion erupted. The system promptly informed him that only 20 minutes remained to complete the mission. However, to everyone's surprise, the mission was successfully completed and removed from their quest log even before the deadline. After defeating the dragon, the top-ranked player acquired a valuable collection of items: a dragon tooth, a dragon horn, a dragon gem, a dragon bone, a dragon heart, and, last but not least, a set of magnificent dragon armor. The top-ranked player decided to divide the 6 hard-earned items equally among the team. Rush 777 confidently stated that these items were the perfect ingredients for enhancing their gear. The top-ranked player smirked subtly after hearing Rush 777's confident remark. The scene then shifted to an administrator, whose name remained shrouded in mystery, sitting alone in a quiet space. He confidently concluded that the recent event was surprisingly easy. Yet, he mused that games should ideally be enjoyable, but this particular one felt rather uninteresting. Suddenly, a glaring error message flashed before him. He speculated that something truly intriguing was about to unfold. Another window appeared, displaying information about Ignis. Her level was noted as 8 stars, and her class was designated as Dragon of Destruction. A chilling realization dawned upon her. The presence of her siblings, including Taffas, had completely vanished. Gritting her teeth, she activated her Warp Flame Heart skill. A notification materialized, once again announcing the Dragon of Despair. The system further revealed the details of Taffas's initial defeat, specifying that it was inflicted by Guild Number 0. She then manipulated a display, bringing up images of the humans responsible. Upon seeing their faces, her teeth clenched in a surge of anger. She knew that her sibling had, in essence, provided them with a total of 6 crucial items. As her thoughts raced, she remembered the existence of a resurrection system, which could be activated if all the necessary ingredients were successfully gathered. She was acutely aware that the 6 culprits were none other than the strongest members of the opposing guild. With unwavering resolve, she decided to reclaim the items one by one, deeming her enemies to be merely humans. Her determination solidified. She would eliminate every single one of them. A guy with a cheerful smile on his face was casually strolling along. His user ID was Chocolate Mint, and his class was listed as Novice. He realized that he could finally clear his beginner quest if he could just find one more slime. Chocolate Mint spotted a slime lying innocently on the ground. He optimistically noted the apparent lack of competition today and concluded that this was the perfect opportunity. He confidently leaped towards the slime, mentally deciding not to hold any ill will towards it. However, as soon as he jumped, the slime began to move in an unexpected way. Chocolate Mint was utterly shocked to witness the slime's sudden animation. The slime then grotesquely transformed into an unknown man, leaving Chocolate Mint completely stunned by the figure standing before him. The mysterious man held a dagger firmly in his hand, and Chocolate Mint stared at him, wide-eyed. The man, with all his might, struck Chocolate Mint forcefully. Chocolate Mint instantly realized that this assailant possessed overwhelming power. Staggering backward from the dagger's impact, Chocolate Mint found himself in a precarious situation. The scene then transitioned to a boy with the user ID Delivery Tribe, a novice class player, who was busily distributing newspapers to everyone present. He excitedly yelled, "Read all about it," as he rapidly handed out the newspapers with great speed. A bald man with the user ID Strongest Merchant, belonging to the merchant class, held a newspaper in his hand, his brow furrowed in thought. There was something significant to decipher within its pages. The newspaper's headline detailed a mysterious group of red players who had been responsible for a series of recent attacks in Alukia, the village of Mother Nature. These attackers showed no discrimination, targeting both novice and seasoned players alike. Many individuals across the world had been actively trying to apprehend these elusive red players. However, recent reports indicated that the red players had been thoroughly defeated. Already, there were 4 similar cases that had occurred recently. Despite this, there were still no concrete clues that could even hint at which guild was responsible for these incidents. Strongest Merchant rubbed his head thoughtfully. He knew that the highly anticipated festival was also about to commence. He had observed a large crowd gathering for the event. Despite the grim news, he noted that the newspaper was being distributed for free. Meanwhile, a slime was emitting strange sounds as it moved. A guy named Kim, holding his sword, told the slime that it would serve as his sparring partner for his skill practice. He then activated his inspection crossgut and struck the slime, which reacted with a pained sound. Kim then yelled at Tatantha, who had green hair, and Dishtra, with purple hair, asking for their opinion on his perfectly executed crossgut. Distra bluntly asked him if he didn't find it embarrassing. Kim shouted back, telling her to shut her mouth. He then smirked, explaining that while slimes were useful for skill training, a person could also simply grab them. Kim grabbed the slime in his hand and punched it repeatedly. He continued to pummel the slime, convinced that hitting it was an excellent way to relieve stress. He once again seized the slime and asked them if they knew the most enjoyable part. He then declared that the most entertaining aspect was stretching it with both hands until it expired. As soon as he began pulling it with his hands, the slime started to shriek. The slime then split into two distinct parts after his brutal actions. He found a strange satisfaction in hearing its cries. Tatantha questioned Haeyoung if Kim was a psychopath. Distra concluded that Kim simply had severe anger issues. Kim yelled at them both, commanding them to shut up. On the ground nearby, another slime lay motionless, its body trembling with fear. Kim happened to spot another slime lying on the ground. He extended his hand towards it and mockingly asked if he should send it to join its friends. The slime began emitting bizarre noises and started to tremble uncontrollably with fear. Kim mused that it might be even better if he simply tore it apart as well. However, before his hand could reach it, he was struck on the cheek from the side. He grinned, demanding, "Who dared to attack me?" Ignis then coolly asked Kim if he was requesting her to introduce herself. Ignis then told Kim that he had no need to know her identity. The girl's eyes glowed with an ominous red light. She then informed Kim that he would be dead soon. Kim's cheek was bleeding from a cut inflicted by the mysterious girl. He pointed a defiant finger at her and challenged her, asking if she was truly serious about killing him. He then lunged towards the girl, declaring that she was the one who was about to die. He attacked Ignis with his weapon, which Ignis effortlessly destroyed in an instant. Kim was utterly stunned to witness his gun obliterated by a single punch from Ignis. Ignis then punched Kim with all her might, and the force of Ignis's blow sent Kim sprawling far away onto the ground. Both Tatantha and Distra screamed in horror as they looked at Kim. Kim instantly lost consciousness as he hit the ground. Ignis stared intently at Tatantha and Distra, questioning if they were following her. Both of them immediately began to panic. Tatantha quickly told the girl that they hadn't witnessed anything. They both then scrambled to run away from the scene. Ignis contemptuously called them disloyal and hurled insults at them. The slime then slowly approached the girl and expressed its gratitude for being saved. The slime then timidly asked the girl if she was willing to listen to a request it had. Ignis was visibly surprised to hear the slime speak. Just then, a glowing window appeared before Ignis. She looked at the screen and realized that something previously deemed impossible was about to occur. On the screen, a slime's quest was prominently displayed, detailing the objective to save Olivia. The specific goal mentioned was to rescue Olivia from the humans. However, the potential reward remained unknown. The story delves into the recent past. A flickering spark, almost like a fleeting thought, ignited within it and then abruptly vanished. Was that the precise moment when it began to develop the capacity to think? Remarkably, no other slimes had ever acquired the ability to think, except for this one unique individual. One of the slimes tentatively asked the other if it, too, could think. The slime already possessed this awareness and was overjoyed to finally meet another like itself. They quickly forged a bond of friendship and bestowed names upon each other. The slime narrating its story was named Emma, and the other was named Olivia. However, their newfound happiness was short-lived. It was a harsh truth that self-awareness wasn't always a blessing, knowing they were utterly powerless to prevent the brutal deaths of their kind. The overwhelming terror they experienced as they witnessed countless murders, over and over again, became unbearable. They grew to resent their newfound ability to think, as it brought them immense suffering. They desperately wished it was all just a horrifying nightmare. So they fled. Olivia proposed that they escape to a place where no humans existed. Emma readily agreed to anything that would allow them to escape this terrible nightmare. And just like that, Olivia and Emma began their desperate flight. Yet, a nagging seed of insecurity gnawed at the back of Emma's mind. They eventually stumbled upon a breathtakingly beautiful place where their worries seemed to dissipate. They had reached Elsa's hidden field of flowers, a sanctuary where no one would ever venture. Both of them began to playfully jump among the flowers, filled with unbridled joy. They saw flowers stretching as far as their eyes could perceive, a vibrant tapestry of blooms everywhere. They found flowers adorning every corner of the landscape. They marveled at the exquisite beauty of the flowers and the fantastical nature of the entire place. Flowers even thrived on the sheer cliff walls, a testament to the area's mystical charm. But then, the creeping realization of that nagging seed of insecurity suddenly struck them. What about their fellow comrades they had abandoned in the forest? She had run away, now possessing a mind and experiencing new forms of suffering. Yet, she questioned herself. Was that a sufficient reason to leave her comrades behind in such a hellish situation? She concluded that it could never be enough. Emma then firmly told Olivia that they both had to return. This way, they could go back to protect the forest and be reunited with their comrades. The spark of thought and the subsequent formation of an ego. It appeared that she wasn't the only monster with an ego of its own. Ignis thoughtfully considered Emma's story, then asked Emma about the other slime. Where is she now? Emma revealed to Ignis that Olivia was at the flower field. Furthermore, Emma recalled that Olivia had been gazing intently at a specific flower on the cliffside, so she had returned to pick it up for herself. One day, Emma couldn't find Olivia anywhere, so she went directly to the flower field. She frantically searched for Olivia all over the area, shouting her name repeatedly. She even bravely climbed the cliffs in her desperate search for Olivia. Finally, Emma found Olivia and asked her if she had come here to pick that particular flower for her. Meanwhile, Kim stumbled upon a slime amidst the flowers. He knew this area was renowned for its lack of monsters, so he wondered where this one could have possibly originated. He pondered why he should bother killing it. He stood directly on the vibrant, blooming flowers. Kim casually slashed the slime with his sword. He dismissed it as an unremarkable monster, believing he had wasted his time. Suddenly, he was utterly shocked to witness the slime respond in this seemingly neutral territory. Even though he had heard of monsters appearing infrequently in such areas, he had never before seen a monster respawn here. He wondered if this unexpected event was precisely what he was thinking. As his thoughts raced, he recalled that a festival was quickly approaching in Elia. He promptly called Kong Wu and instructed him to summon the other guild members. He ordered Kong Wu to inform the rest of the guild that they had a new job to take care of. Haing refers to a slightly older male, someone like a brother or a superior. Subsequently, a large group of humans, cloaked in robes, arrived en masse at the flower field. The beautiful field was then instantly transformed into a living hell. Even now, Emma recounted to Ignis that Olivia was continuously dying and being reborn only to die again at the flower field. She was mercilessly murdered as soon as she came into existence, with absolutely no chance to resist. These humans were brutally killing her simply because she possessed a unique quality. Moreover, there was nothing Emma or Olivia could do to stop them or force them to leave. Emma began to plead with Ignis, begging her to save Olivia. Ignis stood firm, assuring Emma that she understood the gravity of the situation. She then informed Emma that she would accept the urgent request. Emma tearfully thanked her, finding a glimmer of hope that good humans still existed in the world. Ignis clenched her fist, her resolve hardening. She told Emma to now leave everything to her. However, there were certain conditions for this quest to be truly considered a success. The system displayed a notification regarding the slime Olivia rescue. The objective stated was to rescue Olivia, but the reward for this perilous mission remained shrouded in mystery. Ignis believed that merely rescuing Olivia from those people was insufficient. Even if she was saved, she would inevitably return to that same field where those cruel humans resided once she died again. Secondly, Ignis concluded that simply defeating those people wasn't enough. Even if every single one of them was beaten, more would undoubtedly arrive later, knowing that unique monsters had appeared there. In this scenario, she decided that the condition for ultimate victory was simple yet profound. She realized she must crush them with her overwhelming power. Furthermore, she must instill such profound terror in their hearts that they wouldn't even dare to consider returning to that sacred place. She began to take long, powerful leaps to cover the distance as quickly as possible. As she moved, she vividly recalled Emma's description of the one who had repeatedly killed Olivia. She spotted a guy standing there, who promptly told her to hold it. Ignis halted her advance. Kongwu warned her that it was a bad idea to proceed beyond this point. He gestured with his hand, informing her that the area ahead was under the guild's strict control. He told her it was dangerous and suggested it would be better for her to turn back. Ignis casually pushed Kongwu aside. Kongwu immediately became aggressive, swearing at her and fuming about how she dared to disregard him when he had been so polite. Kongwu then announced that a man wrapped in bandages had emerged. The bandaged man stepped closer to Kongwu. The bandaged man held a dagger firmly in his hand. Ignis looked at the man and remembered Emma's prior warning. Emma had advised her to be cautious of that man, specifically mentioning his involvement in yesterday's noisy ambush. This bandaged man was indeed the same individual from that incident. She now stood directly in front of the man covered in bandages. She knew that the flower field was just beyond him, and she simply needed to get past him. She also knew that if luck was on her side, she could directly confront that guy. Gritting her teeth, she challenged the man to fight her with incredible speed. The man's bandages swiftly dropped to the ground, and he leaped towards the girl. He slashed at her, but she expertly blocked his attack. The girl then struck the bandaged man forcefully. Kongwu was utterly shocked to witness this unexpected scene. She decisively defeated the bandaged man, and then warned Kongwu that she would kill him if he didn't immediately leave the area. She told him to go if he valued his life. Kongwu stared at her, incredulous, asking if she was blind or something. Ignis glanced at her arm, which was now tightly bound with bandages. She then happened to notice the bandaged guy standing a short distance away. She was shocked to see the bandages on her arm. She realized that the bandaged man must have inflicted this wound precisely when she had struck him. She pondered how a mere human could recover so quickly after taking a direct hit from her. She then demanded to know what the man was planning. The bandaged man began to emit strange, unsettling sounds. Whatever, Ignis thought, deciding she didn't need to waste time figuring out these humans' cheap tricks. She resolved to incinerate everything until even the ashes were gone. She raised her hand, but then she saw an error message appear. The system notified her that the skill Hellfire could not be activated. She wondered about the status of the skill. She pondered if she was unable to activate any of her abilities, from top-tier skills like Hellfire down to the most basic ones. She concluded that the bandaged man shouldn't have had enough time to attempt anything like this. Therefore, if she wanted to resolve this anomaly, she clenched her fist, realizing she would first need to break through this place. She then began to pull the bandages that were wrapped around the bandaged guy's body. She didn't stop. Instead, she continued to tear the pieces apart. The bandaged man collapsed to the ground. Kongwu quickly activated the skill Holy Shield to protect the fallen bandaged man. Kongwu started laughing, seemingly victorious, after seeing his action. Ignis furiously cursed at Kongwu. Ignis then decided to take down Kongwu first, rather than focusing on the bandaged man. A notification appeared, indicating that a curse had been applied 10 times. The bandaged man then activated the skill Death Shot, a terrifying ability with only 2 possible outcomes, death or die. As soon as he unleashed his skill, a box-like object appeared, clearly labeled Death Slit. There was also a slot where a coin could be inserted. The bandaged man began to gather his powers, preparing to attack her. She looked at the bandaged man, a strange and sinister feeling creeping over her. The Death Slit began to ring, and with her already unsettling premonition, she realized she had to eliminate him immediately. She sprinted swiftly towards the bandaged man. She tightened her fist and kicked him with all the power she could muster. However, she suddenly saw her body freeze, unable to move. All at once, the bandaged man was standing directly under the Death Slit. He let out a horrifying sound. He then used his powers and struck Ignis. The system notified her of an unknown curse that had been applied. Furthermore, it stated that her left eye vision has been sealed. Ignis immediately placed her hand over her left eye, realizing with a jolt that she could no longer see anything from it. Kongwu thought it a stroke of luck to have finally caught her attention. Ignis, however, gritted her teeth, unleashing a torrent of abuse at the bandaged man and vowing to end his life. The girl surged forward, her fist tightening with murderous intent, and landed a powerful punch. Yet, the bandaged man deftly sidestepped her assault. She persisted in her relentless attacks, but he, with an almost supernatural agility, continuously evaded every single one. The bandaged man then snatched 2 weapons, one in each hand, and charged at the girl with breakneck speed, his gaze locked firmly on her. He swiftly slashed at Ignis with the twin blades he wielded. Blinded in one eye, facing lightning-fast attacks, and witnessing a truly malevolent fighting style, he'd never encountered anything quite like it. She realized this was, without a doubt, the very definition of utter helplessness. The bandaged man resumed his assault on Ignis. He relentlessly sliced at her with his weapons, inflicting numerous injuries upon Ignis. Ignis staggered forward, attempting to close the distance. The bandaged man, with cruel precision, slashed her once more. After enduring so many brutal attacks, Ignis felt utterly devastated and overwhelmed. The bandaged man, clutching his weapon, leaped towards Ignis. Her body began to tremble uncontrollably due to the severe wounds she had sustained. But he didn't stop there. He resumed his relentless slashing at Ignis. Kongwu watched in disbelief as Ignis remained standing, even after absorbing countless blows. He wondered why Ignis was merely standing there, taking such heavy hits. A suspicion formed in his mind. Ignis must be meticulously planning something. He yelled at the bandaged man, ordering him to stop toying with the girl. He hurled insults at the bandaged man, instructing him to simply kill her already. The bandaged man charged at Ignis, swiftly wrapping his bandages around her body and holding her in a vice-like grip. He then slashed at Ignis with both hands. Ignis began to think deeply, her mind racing. She realized that while she might have lost her raw powers, her sharp senses remained intact. She knew there had to be something crucial. She had overlooked something she had forgotten. Her eyes flared red with renewed determination. Though she was already ensnared by the bandages, Ignis suddenly dropped to the ground, then rapidly pushed herself back up, tearing at the constricting bandages with her formidable nails. She quickly broke free from the restraints around her body. The bandaged man leaped towards Ignis, intending to strike her again. Kongwu was utterly stunned to see that Ignis had already adapted to the speed of his attacks. He opened his book, realizing with a jolt that he absolutely could not let her bypass him and reach the guild master. He then activated the powerful skill Holy Shield around the bandaged man. Ignis fixed her gaze on the bandaged man, who was now enveloped by the protective glow of the Holy Shield. With renewed resolve, Ignis remembered Emma, becoming even more resolute and determined. She clenched her fist, vowing to honor her word. She struck the bandaged man with every ounce of power she possessed. The bandaged man crumpled to the ground after receiving her devastating blow. Ignis watched as the bandaged man lay there, defeated by her powerful attack. After her brutal assault, the bandaged man's form flickered and then faded away entirely. Kongwu pondered if the bandaged man had truly lost. He knew that the bandaged man simply could not lose, unless that woman was some kind of world-class ranker. He wondered intensely who she was. Realizing he needed to inform the guild master immediately, he swiftly pulled out his communication screen to report this unfortunate and utterly unexpected incident to his superior. Ignis then began to stride purposefully towards Kongwu. The guy's nervousness became palpable as Ignis approached him. He tried to hide his fear, but Ignis could discern his apprehension from his expressions alone. The scene shifted, and after some time had passed, Ignis was seen running, desperately searching for Olivia. She was certain that Olivia had to be somewhere ahead. She soon reached the flower field that Emma had described. Upon arriving at the vibrant field, the girl came to a sudden halt. Ignis happened to spot someone standing a short distance away. Her eyes remained wide with shock as she took in the sight on the other side. She further noticed that the person standing there was holding a box, and inside that box, Olivia was being kept. She then recognized the individual was the same guy who had been responsible for her brother's death. She pressed her mind further, recalling the Dragon of Despair, Tafiz's very first defeat, inflicted by Guild Number 0. She vividly remembered the names of the guild members who had killed her brother. The subjugation team included Nandamik, Rush, Cynthia, Harkmorph, and Glow. While the last member's identity was unknown at the time, she now clearly recognized the person standing directly in front of her. Without wasting another second, she immediately lunged towards Rush, intent on killing him. She extended her hand, aiming to grasp Rush's neck. Rush saw her hand rapidly approaching. He quickly intercepted her hand, coolly stating to Ignis that he didn't do handshakes. Ignis instantly realized that this guy's power was utterly boundless. Rush then powerfully threw the girl to the ground. He swore under his breath, wondering what those guys were doing, allowing someone like this to pass through so easily. He sensed a strange energy emanating from behind him. He quickly turned his head and saw Ignis attempting to rise directly behind him. Ignis told Rush that she knew Ithis was exactly where it was. She managed to stand, though her body still trembled from the severe injuries she had endured. He questioned Ignis, asking who she was, as she didn't appear to be a ranking mercenary. She retorted, telling him to shut his mouth and that he was getting on her nerves. Well, whatever, he muttered, dismissing her. All he needed to do was eliminate her. Ignis did not falter. She surged towards him again, unleashing all her remaining power in a renewed attack. She raised her leg, and in an instant, delivered a powerful kick directly to his face. She watched, astonished, as he remained completely unharmed, having effortlessly dodged her kick. She refused to lose heart. She punched him again. He grew visibly frustrated, telling her that she was so weak. She kicked him with every last bit of energy left in her body. He then told Ignis that she didn't seem like a mercenary on a mission and he had no idea what her objective was, but he could clearly tell she was weak. He stepped towards her and demonstrated how one should deliver a proper kick. Ignis staggered, struggling to remain upright in front of him. He moved close to her and, with a single, swift kick, struck her directly in the face. Ignis was sent flying far away. She clenched her teeth, instinctively covering her face with her hands to protect herself. He began his relentless assault on her. He drew his weapon and repeatedly struck Ignis. He laughed maniacally, cursing at her and telling her to die. He pressed his weight onto Ignis, attempting to utterly crush her. Ignis lay sprawled on the ground beneath him. After observing that she had lost consciousness, he stepped aside, still holding his sword. He then leaped away, vanishing from sight. Meanwhile, the rain began to fall, with droplets cascading from the sky. Ignis lay on the ground, her mind replaying images of the dragon armor, dragon horn, and dragon heart. She cursed him, realizing that he was brazenly exploiting her brother's precious items. She was certain that her brother was suffering within that very place. She remembered the cherished moments she had spent with her brother. In her heart, she silently promised her brother that his Nuna, older sister, from a younger male's perspective would indeed save him. Sometime later, the scene shifted to a building, where several individuals were holding a conference. A girl dressed in green entered the room and offered her apologies to everyone present. The girl then inquired if everyone was currently assembled. This girl was Uriel, the village chief of Elsa Nature's village. A bald man, the merchant association chief, also known as the most substantial merchant, told the village chief that everyone was indeed present, so they should commence their discussion. Another boy with red hair, Kim Anjuan, who served as the spokesman for the victims, informed Elsa's village chief that they had been waiting indefinitely and urged them to hasten the proceedings. Garcia, the commander of the Elsa guards, also listened intently to the ongoing discussion. Terry, the leader of the mercenary group White Wine, informed Elsa's village chief that they were prepared. Elsa's village chief then decided to initiate the emergency measures meeting. She informed everyone about the current situation. The annual slime festival was facing several significant problems this year. Firstly, frequent attacks from red players had caused many users to cancel their plans to attend, and the ineffective countermeasures against these ambushes had drawn considerable criticism. Secondly, there was a severe shortage of slime liquid. Large quantities of slime liquid were essential for cooking and various other purposes during the festival. Typically, slime liquid was obtained through adventurers who hunted slimes. However, because many of those adventurers had fallen victim to the ambush attacks, they had been unable to acquire a sufficient supply of slime liquid. The village chief explained why they needed everyone's help to ensure the festival proceeded without any hitches. The Merchant Association chief stated that the village chief would post a quest notice for a slime subjugation mission. He was confident that as long as the reward was substantial, they would have enough participants to meet their needs. Kim Anjuan offered his assistance by summoning his friends. He informed them that there was a particular girl in this area he intended to take care of. He made them aware that she wore a cloak with a distinct red pattern. So, he suggested that everyone should alert him if they happened to spot her. Suddenly, he yelled at Garcia, warning him to wait till he got his hands on her. The Merchant Association chief remembered the detail about the red-patterned cloak. Garcia then asked Terry, how about him and his group? Terry made a strange face and told Garcia that he didn't need to say another word. Terry believed it would be an insult to them, the White Wine Guild, to compare them to those half-baked mercenaries, if it were left to him. The village chief Elsa then told Terry that she was sure he would be fine if he was truly confident. She requested them to begin the subjugation immediately. She informed Garcia that he would utilize the guards to assist them. He assured Ariel that she could count on him. She added Nim to her name. Signifying respect, Ariel Nim is an honorific ending for someone who is elder or superior. Terry then announced to everyone that they must start the subjugation mission and commence. On the other hand, Olivia was being held inside a mysterious device. Rush believed they needed to thank Nuna for providing them with this monster torture device. He observed that Olivia was revealing more of her deviant side as they got to know her better. As he had stated before, he addressed the bandaged man, reminding him not to let anyone reach the flower field. He questioned the bandaged man, asking if he remembered his words and if he couldn't follow such a simple order. The bandaged man remained silent. Rush continued to verbally abuse the bandaged man. He then kicked the bandaged man's body. The bandaged man apologized to him. Rush then asked the bandaged man if he had forgotten what kind of guild they were. The bandaged man's body began to tremble. Rush informed the bandaged man that they were a group of ruthless plunderers who would do absolutely anything for money. Their guild's name was Drunk Red Guild. He then asked the bandaged man if he knew how much it had cost him to clear all his death penalties. He placed his foot on the bandaged man's head and warned the blue-haired guy that the same rules applied to him too. With full aggression, he warned the blue-haired guy that if he messed up again, he would personally stuff him into that torture device. He declared he would not offer any second chances. The blue-haired guy laughed nervously. Though fear was evident in his eyes, he assured Rush that he didn't need to worry about him. The blue-haired guy was sweating profusely from sheer terror. Anyway, Rush decided to address the unimportant stuff for now and outline the plan, so he instructed Kong Wu to listen carefully. He revealed that Alukia's Slime Festival was set to begin in just 3 days. The festival was a deeply ingrained tradition, meaning it would proceed no matter what. There were many rare and incredibly expensive items available there, such as the coveted slime statue. He also noted that the recent commotion caused by the red players had effectively eliminated any users who could potentially interfere with their plans, and they had already memorized the town's entire layout. In short, he believed this presented a golden opportunity to earn some serious money. He ordered his guild to steal every valuable item and kill everyone in their path, because it was time to show them what the Drunk Red Guild was truly made of. He clenched his fist, cursing at those people, and told his guild members to prepare for their actions. The Drunk Red Guild then commenced their operation. The raindrops were pouring down, and a group of guys were making their way through the downpour. One guy asked Terry how much the mission's reward was this time. Terry replied that perhaps the reward for this mission was just enough to cover a Hanwoo dinner afterwards. Hanwoo is a prized, expensive breed of Korean beef. Leader Terry turned his head to look back at his group. He instructed all the lower-level guild members to hunt any slimes they encountered, while the higher-level members should thoroughly comb the area. They spotted a large number of slimes lying on the ground. One of the boys stepped forward, intending to collect the slimes. He drew his dagger, ready to dispatch the slime. He leaped towards the slime and expertly slashed it. Terry commended the guy for his nice hit. He informed everyone that the hardest workers would be rewarded with bonuses, encouraging them to keep up the effort. Terry then noticed a slime attempting to hide within the bushes. Terry wondered if the slime was simply terrified. After a moment's thought, he concluded that this wasn't the case. He had never seen or even heard of any slime behaving in such an unusual manner. Well, he decided he would find out if they would kill it. The slime looked utterly terrified. Terry extended his hand forward, intending to grab the slime. At that precise moment, Ignis leaped into the scene. She commanded Terry to stop. She then strode purposefully towards Terry. She addressed Emma, the scared slime, apologizing to her because Olivia was right in front of her, yet she had let her get away. She assured Emma not to worry, promising to rescue them both. Terry questioned Ignis, asking, "Why are you here? We don't like red players." One of the guys from his group told Terry to let him handle the girl. With all his speed, he leaped towards Ignis, intending to strike her, but before he could land a blow, Ignis kicked him. The boy managed to block her attack, and Ignis twirled gracefully, landing back on the ground. The guy then activated the skill Thunderbolt. Ignis sighed, realizing her body was significantly weakened from all the damage she had already sustained. She saw a blinding yellow flash erupt directly in front of her. The flash struck the spot. The guy then bounced towards the girl, ready to unleash an onslaught. He told Ignis, as he attacked her, that this will be the end. He held his sword tightly and activated his lightning/skill. He struck Ignis, who fluttered and then collapsed to the ground. He told Ignis that he would send her off with that slime, so she wouldn't be lonely. Ignis lay on the ground, her energy almost completely depleted. Emma was present nearby, close to the girl. The girl's eyes flickered open. She desperately gathered her strength and, with immense effort, pushed herself upright, realizing she couldn't allow things to end like this. She stood before the yellow-haired guy, who confidently told her not to worry, assuring her he would finish her off properly. He then activated the skill Thunderbolt second. He delivered a brutal, life-ending blow to her. After striking her, he smirked as he walked past. Terry observed that the guy had executed a Thunderbolt second. It was awesome. Another guy standing beside Terry looked at the yellow-haired guy, noting that it seemed like an instant kill move. The yellow-haired guy sheathed his sword. He told Leader Terry that they should move on. Ignis sat on the ground in a truly terrible state. Emma was also there with her. Terry decided to wrap things up. He told Ignis that she certainly knew how to take a beating. He asked her if she would mind telling him why she was interfering with their guild. He noticed the slime behind Ignis and, after observing carefully, he felt she was actively protecting the slime behind her. He wondered why she would protect something as insignificant as a slime. He saw that Ignis did not appear to be a user trying to monopolize a high-level hunting ground. He thought there was no logical reason for the girl to go to such lengths for a mere slime. Her actions piqued his curiosity. He asked the girl if she could answer his questions. He assured Ignis that once she answered him, he would leave. The girl did not respond, so he began to call out to Ignis. Terry waved his hand, but still, she didn't answer. He stopped waving his hand and approached Ignis. He saw that Ignis collapsed to the ground and wondered if she had simply fainted. He turned around, preparing to leave, thinking that Ignis had indeed fainted and there was no point in staying any longer. He instructed his members to clean up the area. And just as he turned his face, one of his guild members shouted his name, demanding his attention. He was puzzled, having no idea why they were calling out to him. Ignis widened her fist, determined to seize Terry. Terry wondered if Ignis had been faking her unconsciousness. She was about to strike him, but Terry knew he couldn't possibly block this impending attack. Her hand was mere inches from Terry. However, Terry understood that there was absolutely no way he could react to such incredible speed. He cursed at the girl, realizing now that she had been feigning weakness for a chance to attack him, their leader. Before her hand could reach him, Terry grabbed her arm and flung her away. In this swift maneuver, he both dodged her attack and counterattacked simultaneously. Ignis shrieked, overcome by the intense pain she experienced. Terry stared intently at Ignis. He told Ignis that she had truly freaked him out. He concluded that she was a scary kind of lady. Anyway, he told her that if she didn't want to answer, it was fine, as they didn't have any more time to spare either. He simply told her to just die. He held a weapon tightly in his hand. He attacked Ignis. She realized that this was a dire situation because her body was no longer responding as she wished. She remembered Taffas, Olivia, and Emma. She thought that she couldn't do anything right now. Before Terry's weapon could strike her, Emma bravely leaped in between them. As soon as Emma hopped in, Terry's weapon was about to hit her and end her life. Emma tearfully told Ignis that she only realized it after Ignis accepted her request. The very fact that they were able to converse meant that Emma was also a unique monster. Although inherently very cowardly, she was glad she could be courageous in her final moments. Ignis screamed and leaped towards Emma, desperate to save her from Terry's fatal blow. Before she could rescue Emma, Terry's weapon mercilessly slashed Emma. Emma's last words to the girl were a heartfelt plea to take good care of Olivia. Ignis watched Emma's form begin to fade. She could tell by the diminishing form that the spark of life within her had extinguished. She was utterly unable to believe that Emma had died. She remained in denial, still clinging to the hope that Emma would somehow return. But suddenly, a screen materialized before her. The window displayed an error code 14. It explicitly stated on the screen that they cannot find the client for Olivia's rescue quest. The girl saw that it was clearly mentioned that the quest was now considered cancelled. Ignis began to spiral into a furious rage as she recalled how the humans had taken Taffas from her. She had believed he was the only one she needed to avenge. But now, she realized it wasn't just Taffas. All this time, all these other monsters around her had also disappeared. She thought that all of them had simply vanished. She surged towards Terry, intent on attacking him. She was about to strike him. But this time, Terry would not be deceived again. He drew his sword, preparing to attack her. However, before he could land a hit, a guy from his guild struck Ignis from behind. Ignis fell to the ground. All the guild members then surrounded her. Terry was confident this would be their victory. The girl didn't care if she died, as long as she could defeat these individuals. She knew that all she needed was just a small opening. She silently pleaded for strength from Taffas. She moved her hands, with their large, sharp nails, towards Terry. A booming, thundering voice echoed, proclaiming that it would be pretty problematic if she were to die right now. A blinding, flashy light erupted in the sky, and something strange began to descend from above. With a sudden boom, the mysterious object landed squarely on the ground. Terry wondered what in the world had just crash-landed. He saw a peculiar species with 2 legs and arms, just like a human, but its face was oddly strange. Terry wasn't sure if the being had covered its face with a mask. The newly appeared guy told Ignis that she simply cannot just die here. She was confused and puzzled as to how the boy knew her name, especially since she hadn't revealed it to anyone until now. The members of the guild rushed towards the boy, but he immediately activated the skill blackout. A notification appeared, informing him that the probability of status anomaly had increased by 99.9. This meant he was in a significantly weakened state. Another notification informed the boy that the efficacy of reinforcement and recovery skills had plummeted by 99.9. His mental state rapidly deteriorated, and he was now losing consciousness. He gritted his teeth and hurled his weapon far away. Ignis watched the entire unfolding scene, though she remained completely unaware of its implications. A voice from the clouds softly stated that he would see her later. The Merchant Association chief was passing through the forest when he heard an incredibly loud sound. He wondered what was happening as the noise was deafening to his ears. He speculated if it could be a band of thieves. Regardless, he continued on his way. He then spotted something strange in the sky on the other side. So, he changed his direction, heading towards it. He was actively searching for the source of that booming sound. As soon as he reached the location, he saw the guild members lying sprawled on the ground. He noticed that all of them were unconscious. He had no idea what could have possibly happened there to cause them to be in such a state. He then spotted Ignis there. He remembered she was the same person who had delivered the news to everyone earlier. Moreover, Kim On-Juan had also told him about her and asked him to inform him if he had ever seen the person. After looking at Ignis, the Merchant Association chief felt that he had not seen her before, and she didn't appear to be a red player. He wondered who she truly was. Regardless, he decided to take her back with him for now. Ignis remained lost in a dream for a prolonged period, adrift in a space with many disparate backgrounds jumbled together. They were in a chaotic mess, much like a pile of toys carelessly strewn about a child's room. Yet, it felt strangely familiar, which surprisingly put her at ease. She had secretly hoped for this. It felt as though she was forgetting something profoundly significant. She saw a boy standing before her who greeted her warmly. She asked the boy who he was, but he declined to reveal his identity. He believed that disclosing his identity wasn't particularly important. The boy then told Ignis to allow him to ask her a question. He inquired how she would feel if he told her that everyone's actions and their consequences were already predetermined. He further elaborated, stating that God had created this world and that the outcomes simply could not be altered. She responded that she would believe it, because she had always believed she could achieve anything if she tried her absolute best. Then, she mysteriously lost her powers for unknown reasons, and she began to feel as though everything was going awry. She had told Tafas that she would return if. Despite all her earnest efforts, she couldn't change anything, which would truly sadden her. Suppose that were true, then she would just give up. What he said was undeniably correct. The outcome was already predetermined, and she couldn't accomplish what was inherently impossible. She was unsure about this, but that's how it truly felt. Tafas extended his hand towards her, inviting her to shake hands with him. Ignis questioned what he was attempting to do. He asked Ignis what she meant by her query. He simply told her it was a handshake. Ignis was about to scratch his hand, but then, she decided to shake hands with him instead. As soon as she shook his hand, a deep blush spread across her face. He asked Ignis what she felt now. Ignis experienced a warm, profoundly familiar sensation from his tiny hand. She wondered how she could possibly describe this overwhelming feeling. Ignis blushed even more. She felt an exhilarating sense that she could achieve absolutely anything she desired. Tafas told Ignis that she had given a good answer. She thanked him for granting her such a profound feeling. Tafas told Ignis that there was no need to thank him. This feeling was already residing within her heart, and he explained that handshakes were indeed beneficial. After all, they were a beautiful way to convey one's deepest emotions. He told Ignis that her journey would be long and incredibly complex, but she should never, ever forget the vibrant spark that resided within her heart. The scene shifted to where Ignis's eyes slowly opened. She sat up in her bed and questioned herself, "Where am I?" The Merchant Association chief entered the room and saw that she was finally awake. The Merchant Association chief informed Ignis that he had discovered her unconscious in the forest and had brought her there. He then asked Ignis exactly what had happened to her. Ignis recoiled, preparing to strike the Merchant Association chief. Her initial thought was that all humans should simply vanish. However, she then remembered the handshake with the boy. She slowly lowered her hand, the memory of that handshake calming her. She looked at the Merchant Association chief and asked him if he was the one who had saved her. She pressed him to tell her where she was and how much time had elapsed. The Merchant Association chief reminded Ignis that he had asked the question first. He explained that both she and the White Wine Guild members were unconscious, so they had brought everyone back to the village. He told her that it had been 3 days since then. Ignis's eyes widened in alarm. She realized that if she didn't act quickly, Olivia would be in grave danger. She yelled at the Merchant Association chief, demanding to know where those guys were. He asked Ignis if she was referring to the White Wine Guild. He informed her that they had all been forcibly logged off while they were being brought back. She clenched her hands, and after a moment's thought, she asked the Merchant Association chief what he meant by the term logged off. The Merchant Association chief was surprised to see that she was unfamiliar with the term. He questioned her, asking if she didn't know how to log off. Ignis began to ponder if log was the name of a skill or perhaps an item. She then asked him if he meant to say that it was the tastiest food in the world. Or perhaps not. The story begins after the successful raid of Tafas, the greatest dragon, by Guild Number 0. Number 0 then disbanded, its members establishing new guilds after scattering to different regions. This brings us to Ignis's encounter with Rush, the 6th rank player. The Coin Guild had abducted Olivia, and the White Wine Guild was responsible for Emma's death. Ignis, having been transported to the village through the intervention of a mysterious figure, had concealed her true nature as a dragon, hoping to avoid difficulties in combat within the human world. But now, she faces an unexpected predicament. She asks the Merchant Association chief what he means by logging off. She finds his reaction ambiguous and wonders if it's a dish. She then speculates if it's the name of a skill, an item, or perhaps even a region. Realizing that her guesses are useless and she can't think of anything, she knows the Merchant Association chief will grow suspicious if she makes another mistake. The Merchant Association chief patiently tells Ignis that she's in a game and seems unfamiliar with what logging off means. He tells her to wait. She gulps, considering her next move. She thinks it's a shame, but it will be better to take him out now rather than be caught in the middle of the village. She extends her nails, deciding it's safer to neutralize him before attracting more attention. The Merchant Association chief suspects she must be a cyber ghost. He asks if she is, but Ignis remains silent, listening intently. He explains to Ignis that he's heard of them before, players with no social lives who never logged off. He concludes that she must be one of these cyber ghosts. She doesn't understand what he's talking about, but she assumes he's unaware of her true monstrous nature. Regardless, she tells the chief that he could say that. He confirms his understanding. As they speak, fireworks suddenly erupt outside the window, casting bright lights into the room. She wonders if it's an explosion. The Merchant Association chief clarifies that it's the sound of fireworks. The slime festival must have already begun. He tells her she should go if she's fully recovered. She ponders what exactly the slime festival entails. The scene shifts to Uriel, who expresses her gladness that the festival is proceeding as planned. She informs everyone that they haven't found any red players recently, so they shouldn't be a nuisance for now. She asks one of the members what happened to the White Wine Guild. Garcelle informs Uriel that a mysterious debuff skill forcibly logged them off. Uriel can't believe such an absurd skill exists. However, she feels it doesn't truly matter. She wasn't expecting much from them anyway. Uriel orders Garcelle to scout the area and prepare thoroughly for any potential attacks. Garcelle assures Uriel that she can leave it to him. Anyway, Uriel then asks Garcelle what happened to the person who confronted the White Wine Guild. Garcelle tells Uriel that she looks like a regular player. However, they don't believe she's the caster of the mysterious skill. He informs Uriel that she's currently under the protection of a super merchant. Uriel decides to make this festival another resounding success. Meanwhile, Ignis opens the door to the room and steps outside. She sees a bustling crowd and a hive of activity. Chattering fills the air, and various stalls line the streets. Ignis observes the ongoing festival, where everyone seems to be enjoying themselves. Standing at a stall, a man calls out to Ignis, asking why she hasn't tried one of his treats. He tells Ignis it's her loss if she doesn't fully enjoy the festival. He offers Ignis some slime candy, but Ignis initially refuses to take it. He insists that Ignis take it, saying it's on him. People are chattering and murmuring around them. Ignis reluctantly takes the candy from him, and the guy from the candy stall tells Ignis that it looks good on her. He tells her that their store takes immense pride in this particular candy. Most importantly, he reveals that this candy was made with plenty of slime. Ignis is shocked to hear about the slime. She looks intently at the candy in her hand. She imagines small red spots appearing on the slime. She glances around at the children playing with slime toys. She sees that various dishes and goods are all made from slime. She perceives it as a monstrous festival where they revel in these things as if they were mere toys. Now, she's beginning to grasp just how inhumane this entire situation is. She decides to focus on Olivia and Rush for now. The candy stall guy asks Ignis if something is wrong. She turns around, about to leave. Before she walks away, she tells him that nothing is wrong. The guy assumes that if she's angry, she'll leave anyway. A customer approaches the guy and asks the mister if he can have one candy. The guy takes out a candy and hands it to his customer. The customer provides the stall guy with a coin and removes his cap. It's Rush, who declares that they must start it now. Rush muses that the festival is certainly lively. He spots a giant statue in front of him. He claims it must be a slime statue worth at least 10 million gold. He wonders how many items their guys can acquire with that. Running a guild, he realizes, is quite costly. He thinks that he should start enjoying himself. He raises his hand and snaps his finger. As soon as he snaps his finger, beams of light begin to shine. In an instant, a green light envelopes the entire area. A guy wearing a mask sees the poisonous gas. Noise erupts everywhere. It's an ambush. People begin coughing due to the toxic gas. He tells his companions to prepare for action. Kim curses at them, guessing that they're up to something again. Tatantha tells Kim that they should run away, as they don't belong here. They then see the bandaged man appear directly in front of him. Kim asks the bandaged man if he wants to scrap. He activates his sword and cross slash, and the bandaged man counters with a knife slash. They both attack each other, and the fight between them begins. Garcia orders the 3rd and 7th squads to spread out and head to the village square. He tells them that they will go and scout the area around HQ. One of their guild members sees Roger and informs Gabriel about it. Kong Wu, holding a book in his hand, raises it and loudly declares to everyone that they cannot let them do that. He uses the skill Seal Light. Kong Wu knows that he can't directly engage in combat, but he can interfere with their plans until the village is destroyed. Garcia gritted his teeth and sighed, realizing the situation. He calls all of them cowards, noting that they had set this up beforehand. He tells Mistress Uriel to stay safe. Uriel stands before Rush, knowing he must be the leader of the red players. She asks the guy what he wants from her. The leader thinks it's great that they're on the same page. So, he tells Uriel to reveal the whereabouts of the village treasures. Uriel accepts his offer and decides to tell him everything in detail, but she requests him to simply get out of their village. He promises her that he will leave their village if she leads him the way. She leads him forward, and he follows her. As they both walk, Uriel places her hand on a lock. With a beep, the door opens, and the leader of the red players sees it, thinking it will be more lucrative than he expected. On the contrary, the red players are actively killing the other users. The Merchant Association chief curses at the red players as he sees the damage they've inflicted. He sees that they have thoroughly wrecked the entire village. He knows that all the users in the town will be wiped out by the poisonous gas, which he finds utterly insane. He sees a red player coming his way. The Merchant Association chief raises his hand and tells him that he doesn't know how to fight. The red player draws his dagger and immediately lunges towards the Merchant Association chief to kill him. The Merchant Association chief screams in fear, begging for help. He pleads for someone to save him. But before the red player can attack him, Ignis appears between them. She blocks the red player's attack. He sees that the weapon has been destroyed by Ignis. However, he has an alternative spare knife. In a loud voice, the Merchant Association chief warns Ignis to be careful, even as he still refers to her as a ghost. Ignis sees the thieves everywhere, which means he's here too. Ignis tells the red player to die. She grabs the red player's neck. She begins squeezing him, constantly pressing on his throat. The red player starts coughing, and she demands to know Rush's whereabouts. He remains silent instead of answering her. She sees he's in no mood to cooperate. She starts applying more pressure, brutally squeezing his neck. The bones inside the red player's body crack, and Ignis' instincts tell her that Rush is indeed here. She decides not to let him escape so quickly this time. After killing the red player, Ignis tells the Merchant Association chief that she has repaid her debt. The chief sees that Ignis is about to leave. He tells her to wait and asks her where she's going. Ignis pauses momentarily and tells the chief that he doesn't need to go wherever she is going. The chief tells Ignis that there are many enemies around. So, he advises her to escape by leaving the village. She tells the chief that she has something to take care of and therefore needs to leave. The chief makes it clear that if she doesn't leave, there's a strong chance she might die. Anyway, he steps forward, holding a coupon. She asks him what this garbage is. He's shocked to hear her. He looks at her and asks what she means by waste. He informs her that it's a coupon for his store. Ignis snatches the coupon from his hand, and the chief observes Ignis' strange behavior. He wonders what she's thinking. Simultaneously, the looting of the slime statue and various goods was a complete success. The majority of users in the village either escaped or were killed. Rush obtained an unexpected amount of treasure. Uriel lies on the ground helplessly, tied with ropes. She's praying that Garcel can protect her village. Additionally, Bundan, Kim, and June's party seemed to put up a fight but ultimately lost. On the other side of the battlefield, Garcel was still immobilized. He possessed no fighting skills, so poison and seal of light were his best bets for inflicting damage. Kongwu wonders if Garcel will die. He's running out of mana, facing the choice of losing to Garcel's troops or collapsing from the poison. He knows his boss won't forgive him if he dies here. He wishes that Garcel would die quickly. However, he's short on mana. Garcel sees Kongwu and tells him he thinks he's out of mana. He activates his skill, Spear of Nature. He's about to attack Kongwu with his spear. He leaps towards him, intending to strike. Kongwu realizes he's in a difficult situation. Garcel stops there. Kongwu curses at the bandaged man, who is standing behind Garcel, asking him what he was doing because he almost died. The bandaged man raises his dagger, preparing to hit Garcel. Before he can attack Garcel, Garcel's comrades appear. The bandaged man activates his skill with a knife, a black flip, and begins cutting them all down. They start screaming from the injuries inflicted by the bandaged man. The bandaged man relentlessly strikes every one of them. He holds his dagger tightly and immediately leaps towards Garcel. He strikes Garcel with his dagger, and slices him apart. Garcelle falls to the ground. Kangwoo appreciates the bandaged man and asks him if he has met his quota. The bandaged man refuses to answer. Kangwoo sees that the man doesn't talk much, so he tells him they must return to the hideout. He takes out a return stone, a consumable item that teleports the user to a designated area. The bandaged man disappears using that stone. Kangwoo sees that his work here is done, so he guesses he will also head out. He pulls out his pocket, and from the corner of his eye, he sees that Ignis is standing directly behind him. Ignis grabs Kangwoo's hand, stopping him from teleporting. The guy yells at her, asking why she's getting in his way again. Ignis tells him she's interfering because she knows he knows Rush's location. She demands to know where Rush is. Her eyes turn red. She tells him to tell her immediately. Kangwoo sees that Ignis' mind is consumed by thoughts of killing him. So, he knows that it would be hard to play the game if he gets killed by the same person again. He gleams, wondering if there's any other way to escape. He tells Ignis that he will take her to their hideout. And although she wants him to do what he wants, he assures her that Rush is present there. Ignis lowers his hand. Kangwoo tells her to let go of him. Ignis stares at him and asks him if he's sure that Rush is present there. Kangwoo puts his hands inside his pockets and starts searching for the stone while murmuring that she always says Rush this, Rush that, which frustrates him. He throws the stone towards her, and Ignis catches the stone. He asks Ignis if it's her first time seeing a returned stone. He tells her that his boss will return to the hideout soon. A flash occurs. In actuality, Ignis doesn't know that everything is unfolding differently than she had planned, and also that the consequences were unchangeable. They both reach Kangwoo's hideout, where he removes his mask, feeling suffocated by it. Ignis sees that it's Rush's hideout, though it feels gloomy, and something feels out of place to her. She tells the blue-haired guy to lead her the way to Rush. She places her hand on Kangwoo's back and warns him not to do any funny business, otherwise she will kill him. Kangwoo clenches his teeth, and he begins to step towards Rush. While walking, he constantly thinks there's nothing to worry about because he believes Ignis is an idiot for walking directly into the center of the enemy's territory. This place is filled with members who can quickly kill her. He's smirking the whole way. He believes it's only a matter of time. As he walks inside, he sees his other members. One of the members of his team calls out his name. One of the guys asks Kangwoo who the girl behind him is. He tells those guys she's nothing and asks them where Rush is. One of the guys from his side informs Kangwoo that the boss is on the top third floor. Well, Kangwoo decided not to tell them about the girl because he knew that none of them could handle her. However, he feels that it's so uncool, but he also thinks that it's better than receiving the death penalty. He knows there's no doubt about it, since he considers money more important than anything else. Ignis tells Kangwoo to hurry and take her to the boss. Kangwoo starts stepping towards the third floor with Ignis. They reach the first floor, and after crossing it, they reach the second floor. On his way, Kangwoo constantly thinks there must be someone who can kill her. Suddenly, he sees the bandaged man present there. He gets incredibly excited and happy to see him. He gives a signal to the bandaged man so that he can understand him and kill the girl immediately. The bandaged man, without wasting a single second, leaps towards Ignis. He attacks Ignis, but Ignis dodges his attack. Kangwoo takes out his book. He knows they lost last time, but he believes that this time it will be different, as this will be an all-out attack. He activates his skill, Blessing of Light. On the contrary, the bandaged man again jumps towards Ignis to attack her. He uses his skill with a knife, double, and attacks Ignis. Ignis remains unharmed even after the bandaged man's attack. Meanwhile, he activates his skill in Sealing Light. Ignis curses at Kangwoo from her side. She sees that the bandaged man is again about to strike her. She sees him drawing his dagger. Ignis blocks his attack using her arm. However, her arm gets wounded from the bandaged man's attack. The bandaged man uses his bandages to bind Ignis. He starts wrapping Ignis in his bandages. However, Kangwoo's magic is fading. Kangwoo realizes he's out of mana, but believes they can win if they use his curse on her. He knows that the Blessing of Light is a skill that enhances all attributes, including luck, whereas luck increases the probability that the curse will result in a fatal blow. Ignis is bound in the bandages, but she exerts some force and breaks all of them. Well, Kangwoo knows that the bandaged guy's unknown curse is a combo skill to cast death slots. But there's one condition to cast this skill. He must wrap his opponent in bandages. And the bandages just thrown at her are number 10. Ignis jumps to hit the bandaged guy. When Kangwoo sees Ignis' tail, he is shocked. He wonders why Ignis has a tail. He has no idea if this is because she has the dragon's tribe clasp. But more importantly, he knows where she went, which is essential. Suddenly, Ignis appears behind Kong Wu and slices him apart. She then rushes towards the bandage guy to hit him too. She kicks him and breaks the bandage man's neck. They both fall at the feet of someone who had just stepped into that place. He sees that Ignis is causing such a massive commotion in their hideout. He remembers she's the one he saw before. However, he purposefully let her live. He is Rush. He decides to welcome their guest. They both stare intently at each other's faces. The battle against Rush commences. Rush's comrades are on another floor, and one of them ponders, after hearing some noise, what it's for and where it came from. He wonders if something is happening on the third floor. The guy decides to go and organize the stuff for him. The guy steps towards the third floor. He sees Rush there. The guy asks Rush if something is going on here. Rush looks at the guy. The guy sees the woman and wonders if she's the same woman he saw on the first floor. Rush thinks it's good that the guy came here, so he asks him a favor. He orders the guy to tell everyone to log off. He assures the guy that he'll transfer all the money as soon as he's done with this. The guy asks Rush if the lady standing before him is an intruder. He assures Rush that he will assist him and call others. Rush flies into a rage. He makes it clear, telling them to buzz off because he believes they're all nuisances. After seeing that Rush is already aggressive, the guy decides to do what he's asking for. The guy leaves. After he leaves, Rush apologizes to Ignis and asks her what she was saying before. He questions her if they shall begin their fight. They both stare at each other. Ignis glares at Rush. Regardless, she immediately rushes towards Rush to attack him. Ignis' speed is incredibly fast. She punches Rush with all the power she has. The punch proves useless because Rush remains unbothered and unharmed by it. He grabs Ignis' hand and dodges her attack. In return, Rush keeps holding her arm. He clenches his fist tightly and hits her at full speed. He squeezes her hand tightly. Rush kicks Ignis. He constantly keeps smacking Ignis, yelling and shouting at her. He asks her where all the fighting spirit from a minute ago has gone. He, with all the strength in his body, smacks Ignis. Ignis gets injured, and she falls to the ground. She knows that Rush's strength is abnormal for a thief class. Her brain starts getting foggy. Rush sees her going down already. He starts making fun of her. He asks her if she's going down already, even though he hasn't shown her his weapons yet. He kicks her again, telling her that she needs to pull herself together. Ignis screams after being kicked by Rush. He believes the festival raid ended more blandly than expected. He tells Ignis he wanted to play more, but it's a shame. He tells Ignis that he was expecting a lot from her since she came alone. Now he thinks he was expecting too much in this place. She clenches her teeth. Rush bends towards her. She tells Rush that the one who is going to die is him. He moves his hand towards Ignis and grabs her by the neck. He tells Ignis that she's bolder than he expected. He asks Ignis what she can do now. He asks her to tell him she can do that. She gritted her teeth. Rush throws her far away. Ignis falls brutally to the ground, wobbling. Rush thinks it's dull. He steps on Ignis' head and asks her what she can do when she's weaker than the slimes around here. He puts pressure on her head with his foot. She knows that it's a one-sided battle, being beaten to dust by the person who killed her brother. Still, she cannot think of a way to win. She wonders how to beat him. She ponders what she can do to retrieve her brother's item. She cannot think of anything. She realizes she can't do anything. But one thing was deeply imprinted on her brain. She needed to kill this guy no matter what. She stands up. Rush sees that she has stood up. He tells Ignis he's so proud of her that he's getting serious. Ignis and Rush are standing in front of each other. She raises her hand and leaps towards Rush. On the contrary, the door opens to the room where Olivia is kept in a machine. He wonders what an unchangeable outcome truly is. If it's her brother's death, or Emma's sacrifice, or losing a battle. The story begins 10 days ago at Alukia's hidden flower garden. 10 days ago in the hidden flower garden, Olivia finally made it there and saw the white flower Emma wanted. She decides to go near the white flower and hops towards it. Olivia believes that Emma will be happy when she brings her that flower. She wishes Emma to wait for her a little longer. The white flower is right in front of her. She keeps bouncing towards the white flower. She starts climbing the tree. She takes the white flower for Emma. She suddenly realizes she has no hands. She wonders how she's supposed to take the flower back. She admits it's not like she has hands like humans and doesn't have a bag. She starts losing strength and crawling towards the white field with effort. Olivia bites the white flower into her mouth. A screen appears, informing her about the white rosemary item. Its grade is standard, and it's a flower that only grows in the hidden flower garden of Alukia. She gets happy because she did it. She wishes Emma would just wait a little longer now, because she's on her way. While she was on her way back, a guy stepped there. He didn't know that he could find a slime here. This place is known for not having any monsters around. The guy asks Olivia where she came from. He raises his dagger and wonders if he should just kill her. He throws his weapon at Olivia, who thinks she must return the flower to Emma at all costs. The dagger gets embedded into Olivia's body. She wonders if that human just attacked her. She has no idea what's happening. Her consciousness starts fading slowly. She knows that she might lose everything if she closes her eyes here. Her eyes start closing slowly and steadily. The spark inside her begins to fade. She apologizes to Emma. She wonders if Ignis knows that the thing she's trying to save is a mere monster and no longer Olivia. The scene changes to Rush and Ignis. He tells Ignis that she doesn't know their guild is pretty strong. He informs Ignis that the Coin Guild was formed not long after he left Number Zero Guild. He sees those guys are still weak, which is the fun of raising them himself. He thinks Ignis' HP is abnormally high, seeing that she didn't die after his attack. He tells her not to get cocky just because she's their guild's weakling. He assures Ignis that she cannot win at all. However, Ignis believes she won't know that until she tries. Rush looks at Ignis and asks her if that's the case. He thinks that now it's time to get serious. He leaves his spot and jumps towards Ignis. The whole area starts rumbling. The skill True Knife / gets activated. The thundering noise of banging begins to echo all around the place. She looks at the site and wonders what the damage is. She knows that it's not the strength of a typical thief. She realizes he's behind her, so she immediately turns her face back and hits him. He grabs Ignis' hand and asks her what's wrong with her. He questions her if she's run out of gas. He holds her hand and starts slamming her onto the ground. Ignis starts screaming. He holds his sword. He pushes his sword near Ignis. He asks her if she could die now. Before he could insert the sword into her chest, she immediately removed her tail and blocked her chest with it. She inserts his sword inside her tail, and her tail starts bleeding. She gets a cut on her tail and Ignis' pants. Although she didn't want to use her tail yet, she realizes she's made a mistake by showing her tail to him so early. He asks her if she belongs to the dragon class, and he questions Ignis about what she's doing here with such a rare class. Ignis rises. She is determined to never lose to him at any cost. Ignis bends on the ground and then lunges over to Rush with her highly sharp nails. She bounces towards Rush. Rush blocks the attack. He slams Ignis' arm. He tells her that her one arm is about to go, and Ignis falls backward. She thinks that she couldn't lose her arm right now. She sighs and Rush laughs loudly. He tells Ignis she cannot win by running away. He jumps on Ignis' A and D with a loud bam noise. The ground starts shaking. A deep hole is created in the ground, and Ignis falls into that hole. Rush stands there and looks at Ignis falling inside the hole. Rush starts running towards Ignis. He reaches near Ignis. He takes out his dagger and cuts Ignis' tail, which was already suffering from pain. Ignis starts screaming as Rush cuts her tail. Rush asks Ignis what she will do without her precious tail. He tells Ignis that she cannot beat him with this power. While he was saying this to Ignis, he suddenly saw that the piece of tail had faded away. A window screen appears behind him. He looks at the screen on which Dragon of Destruction Ignis is mentioned. It's noted that partial destruction is successful. Additionally, the EXP is 42,700. Rush's eyes remain wide open after seeing that screen. He wonders what partial destruction means. He has no idea why EXP would come from her for destroying parts of a boss monster. His sword is reacting towards Ignis. The notification appears in front of him about Dragon of Destruction Ignis, whose partial destruction is successful. The EXP is 1,842,700. He realizes that his forged sword is reacting to her. Also, not to mention, she tried to find and kill him. Plus, he also learns she's the Dragon of Destruction. He starts wondering if she could actually be a monster. He's staring at Ignis. He knows she thinks independently like a human and even looks like one. He ponders if Ignis is a dragon. He remembers the last raid he did in Number Zero Guild, which was basically on Tafas, who was the Dragon of Despair. He sees that this girl is labeled as Ignis, the Dragon of Destruction. He concludes that all of this cannot be just a coincidence. He questions himself if he should put this theory to the test. He takes out the item called the Shadow Sword Kaishar. This equipment item is of great legend grade. However, the option for this item is hidden. Plus, There's the aura of destruction. Rush takes out the sword. However, he can feel it reacting to Ignis. Ignis looks at the sword carefully. She knows it's Taffes's, her brother's. She moves her hand towards the sword, remembering when Rush killed her brother. As soon as the flashbacks hit her, she clenches her hand and decides not to forgive him. Rush smirked as he realized it was her brother. He now becomes aware that monsters can breathe and live like humans. He stares at Ignis, standing still at some distance from him. Something is boiling inside Ignis. She thinks it's an emotion she can't control. She's sure it's rage. She runs towards Rush as she feels she doesn't have to hide her rage anymore. She takes out her wings. Rush sees her unfurling her wings after she showed him her tail. Ignis wants her body to accelerate, as it's becoming slower from all the damage she took a minute ago. She thinks it's only a matter of time until he gets her. All she needs is a single blow with everything she has. She hits Rush with all her power. She sees Rush, who is still safe and unharmed. Ignis wonders if all of her power isn't enough to destroy Rush. It was just for a second, but he was overwhelmed by her aura. He knows he could have been on the ground if he had messed up. Ignis attacks Rush, but now she's lying on the ground unconscious. On the other hand, a long white-haired girl sees the words error, ego, debugging. She realizes that it has finally begun, and the girl grins after learning about it. The girl knows that Poison Assassin Rush, rank number 6, is a user who made it to the top ranker in just a year and a half. The girl clenches her fist, knowing that fighting a monster with an ego will be completely different. The girl knows he'll have to pull out whatever he has up his sleeve. Some words pop up on the screen about the error, ego, debugging, ego wrath. On the opposite side, Rush is looking at Ignis. He wonders if she's a monster, not a bug. However, he feels strange because the EXP isn't showing up after destroying her. Ignis's body is covered in wounds, which she got from Rush's attacks. She moves her hand forward with difficulty, thinking she cannot be defeated here. Rush senses a presence. He looks carefully. He happens to see Ignis, who is trying to stand up. The light around Ignis is sparkling. She knows it's the most basic and powerful emotion, even to her, for her revenge, which is the dragon's first ego rage. Rush looks at Ignis, whose eyes are shining red, and she's staring at him. He believes that she should have died from the overall damage just now. He wonders what has just happened and why she stood up again. Ignis holds her sword tightly. She vaults over Rush. She is about to hit him. However, Rush knows he doesn't have enough time to draw his weapon. Ignis slashes Rush with all the power and energy she has in her body. The thundering, loud noise of boom is heard all around the place. Rush sighs as he had no idea what was happening. He pondered whether it was like the second phase of a boss battle. He's not ready to lose at any cost to someone as weak as her. He uses his tricks and throws some balls towards Ignis. Ignis uses her sword and destroys each and every one of them. She learns that the hole in his dagger was for this purposito, tie strings to it. However, she believes it's useless in the end. Rush is stunned to see that she vanished all of them. Ignis appears behind Rush. She knows that he is one of the 6 who killed her brother. She came all this way just to get him. She tells Rush that things won't be going his way anymore. She grabs her sword tightly and slashes Rush. Rush screams after being attacked by her. Ignis bounces towards him to hit him again, and Rush jumps upwards to dodge her attack. He sees that Ignis has gotten stronger and realizes it's not some kind of phase 2. She informs Rush that her fight with him isn't over yet. She stretches her hands. The wire gets tight as she stretches her hands. Rush is in shock as he has no clue when she tied the wire to him. He sees that his way of fighting her is like the one he thinks of. He gets annoyed by it. He realizes he's about to hit the ground. Rush falls to the ground, an explosion rocking the earth as he's struck. Ignis stares at the newly formed crater, then rushes toward him and delivers a swift kick. Rush skids backward. Is that all your kick is? Ignis taunts, standing right in front of him. Ignis bounces toward him. Rush readies his weapon, clicks the trigger, and suddenly, some slime appears. He jumps into it. He knows he's suffered critical damage along with burns that hinder his healing abilities. He's aware that a few more hits will be the end of him. The biggest downside of the Thief class is its extremely low HP. Winning without getting hit is usually his style, but he sees that Ignis is something extraordinary. He draws a magic circle around himself and stands at its center, activating his Flame Impact skill, which causes flames to erupt all around the place. He tears off his clothes, his gaze now filled with rage and newfound courage. He tells Ignis that he doesn't care if she's a monster or whatever, as he's determined to kill her at any cost. Ignis stares at Rush. However, Rush possesses such enormous strength for a thief, and Ignis instinctively feels a sense of incompatibility for a reason. The reason is about to reveal itself. Rush is the only member of Guild Number 0 who is a double class. He usually hides his true power by only showing his thief class, but his main class is Dark Knight. It's been half a year since he transformed into this foreman infrequent event, and now the real fight begins. He draws his weapon and charges toward Ignis. They bound toward each other, their swords clanging together in a resounding clash. Rush has also transformed into the Dark Knight. Their extreme powers collide. Ignis stares at Rush. He, too, looks at Ignis with all the aggression in his heart. When they strike each other, a blast occurs. 3 screens appear on Rush's side. One shows a Master Elixir, a consumable item that rapidly recovers stamina, with a stacked amount of 43 out of 1,000. On Ignis' side, 3 screens also appear. One shows Dragon's Regeneration, now unlocked, increasing the regeneration ability of Dragonite monsters by 120. Another screen notifies her about Dragon Skin, which is both A and P defense. The third screen shows Adrenaline, also now unlocked, where reaction speed and senses become more acute. Rush, in his Dark Knight form, decides to teach her what true battle is. A Dark Knight is a rare class, and its ultimate weapon is the shadow. Ignis sees shadows all around her, and with a sudden boom, all those shadows strike her. Ignis protects herself, knowing all she has to do is clear the shadows with her flame. She starts using her sword and her flame to dispel the shadows. After clearing them, she sees them clumping together again. She once again slashes at the shadows, but they boom against her. She constantly fights these shadows that appear again and again. The shadows reappear. Rush activates the skill Shadow Teleport. Ignis immediately turns her face to the other side to defend herself from Rush. She wonders if Rush can do anything as long as shadows are around. She knows that shadows will constantly appear, even if she clears them away with her flame. She immediately slides away for a minute. She understands the combination of fire and shadow. It may seem that Ignis and her flames have the upper hand. However, in reality, it's the opposite. Where there is light, there is always shadow. The stronger the fire or light, the deeper the shadow gets. Shadows can appear infinitely, even if they are cleared away. A Dark Knight attacks from one's blind side by teleporting into a shadow. It's an infinite loop, but there is also one solution. She thinks she may only get one chance. So, she leaps toward Rush. They both start attacking each other, holding their weapons and striking with all the force they possess. Rush creates a cluster of shadows on Ignis. She breaks all those shadows with her flame. Rush continues the same pattern, again sending many shadows toward her. Ignis constantly breaks those shadows again and again. Her sword is an embodiment of her rage. It's as if all her senses were stimulated the moment she drew this sword. Only about half of Ignis' strength has returned, but a certain skill has been unlocked. The only skill that can help her break through this stalemate. It's a battle of attrition that seems unending. It looks like they're pouring out all they have, but that's it. It feels like they're testing each other, and shadows continuously increase as the debris from the battle piles up. Ignis realizes that Rush is undoubtedly up to something, and she decides not to let it go as Rush planned. She leaps toward Rush. He sees that her horns emerge after her wings. He's beginning to think that she's a legitimate dragon. Ignis runs toward Rush at great speed and slashes him with her sword. It starts fading, and when Ignis sees it fading, she wonders if it's a shadow again. The purplish sort of thing falls to the ground, and within an instant, it starts gathering itself again. It reforms into a solid body once more. Rush tells Ignis that it's about time, and he summons many shadows to hit her. Ignis flies into the air, holding her sword. She strikes the clump of shadows from all 4 sides. She realizes she needs to accelerate again, so she grabs her sword tightly. She had placed several skill runes under the debris. She thinks that if she focuses her attacks near the runes, she can catch him off guard by attacking for blind spots. That'll be his end. She yells Rush's name. Rush immediately activates his skill, 10,000 shadows. Ignis gets surrounded by Rush's 10,000 shadow skill. The only thing she can see around her is shadows. She didn't place the runes in just one place, she put them wherever there was a shadow. She decides to use her last skill. Using all her power, she's sure that after using it, she will eliminate all the shadows at once with this skill. She activates the skill Continuous Explosion. With this skill, she hits the shadows in one go. She sees all the shadows have cleared, and a notification pops out. He looks at the screen on which it is written about the stack count, 1,000 out of 1,000. The other screen shows a shadow count, which is the number of times the shadow has been cleared, also 1,000 out of 1,000. Rush enables his ultimate skill, which is the Edge of Despair. Ignis is shocked to see it. She wonders if that is a skill. Rush tells Ignis that it was fun. However, Ignis thinks that she could win if she clears the shadows, but now she feels death coming on stronger than ever before. She questions herself if all her efforts are not enough. She also asks herself if she's not allowed to win. She remembers the flame inside her. She tells herself to never forget the flame within her heart. Suddenly, Olivia appears there. She tells Ignis not to give up. Rush raises his sword, having no idea why the slime is present here. Olivia jumps on Rush's head and sticks there. He starts pulling the slime out of his head, and Olivia guessed right that Ignis is a monster. She tells Ignis that she knows she's a monster. She also lets her know that she doesn't care, but she requests her to take down Rush as she must protect Emma at all costs. Ignis holds her sword tightly. The spark inside her becomes a big flame. Rush raises his sword and warns Olivia that he will kill it as soon as he is finished here. Ignis thanks Olivia for bringing her back to her senses. She sees Olivia is safe and sound. Anyway, she vaults over Rush, who is surprised to see her. He wonders when she got near him. Ignis enables her dragon strike along with a rage slash. She hits Rush so brutally that fire surrounds him. Rush is drenched in fire. Rush's face is now half human and half dark night. He is stunned that he lost to a monster like her. He asks her what she's made of. She tells Rush that he is only the start of her revenge. She tells him not to think that his comrades will be safe. Rush, after hearing Ignis, bursts into laughter. He confirms that she is indeed claiming she can overpower all the top-ranked members of Guild Number 0. He instantly dismisses her assertion, telling her to cease spouting such absurdities. He reminds her pointedly that a ploy like this will not succeed a second time. He then makes it explicitly clear that, ultimately, monsters cannot defeat players. Furthermore, he firmly believes that her demise is certain once her existence becomes widely known across the world. Ignis glances toward a nearby sword and takes a step in its direction. As she closes the distance, she reaches out, grasps the sword, and lifts it from the ground. She perceives only a faint sensation, yet she can still feel the lingering warmth of her beloved brother. Despite the feeling that it might vanish at any moment, the warmth persists. She pulls the sword close, embracing it, and begins to weep, convinced that her brother, Tafas, is somehow present. Through her tears, she addresses him, identifying herself as his sister, Ignis. She continues to cry uncontrollably, offering apologies for her inability to protect him. In the midst of her sorrow, she hears Olivia, who is lying a short distance away on the ground. Ignis immediately rushes over to Olivia, who is panting heavily. She urgently asks Olivia if she is all right. Ignis observes Olivia's labored breathing, which signals that something is gravely amiss. Olivia continues to gasp for air. Suddenly, a screen materializes, displaying a notification. It announces that the quest rescue Olivia has been reinstated. Olivia lets out a cough, and a sudden, brilliant light emanates from her body. The dazzling radiance envelopes the entire area, and within moments, Olivia transforms from a slime into her human form. A beautiful young woman now stands before Ignis. This is Olivia's human manifestation. Ignis stares, realizing that Olivia has just completed a transformation into a human. Ignis is utterly bewildered by the unfolding events. She looks at Olivia again and repeats her question, asking if she is all right. Instead of responding to Ignis' inquiry, Olivia poses her own question, asking if Emma is safe. Ignis' emotions are immediately stirred. She begins to cry, informing Olivia that she was unable to save Emma. She blames herself entirely for the tragic outcome. Olivia then asks Ignis to recount the details of Emma's death. Ignis explains to Olivia that Emma was attempting to protect her, and she apologizes profusely. Olivia envisions the familiar Emma and begins to weep herself. tears streaming down her face. Ignis felt completely at a loss for words, unable to even conjure a single phrase of comfort. She wondered if her silence stemmed from the overwhelming guilt. The profound heartache was unbearable. Feeling utterly wretched, she extended her hand toward Olivia. She then urges Olivia that they must depart from their current location immediately, as members of the Rush Guild could arrive at any moment. She reaches out her hand again, suggesting they journey to the village. Olivia takes her hand, holding it gently. Ignis was unsure why she had been given a heart. However, thanks to Emma, a profound realization dawned upon her when she held Olivia's hand. She had lost her abilities. Nothing had gone according to her intentions, and her heart was shattered. Yet, it was through mutual support in times of adversity that she was beginning to forge genuine connections. They both eventually reached the village of nature, Alukia. The chief of the Merchant Association surveyed the extensive destruction that the Bandit Guild had inflicted during the festival. He pondered whether the girl in the red-patterned cape had survived. He was aware that her adversary was the Thief Guild, an organization capable of eliminating even high-ranking individuals. Consequently, he speculated that she might no longer be alive. Suddenly, a loud banging erupted at the door. He observed someone knocking and wondered who was attempting to enter the room from the back entrance. He loudly commanded the person knocking to enter the room. Ignis and Olivia stepped inside. The Merchant Association chief observed both of them. Seeing that Ignis was alive, he inquired if she had returned after engaging in combat with the thief class. He then questioned her about the identity of the girl accompanying her. Realizing the impropriety of his immediate questions, he decided he should first offer her a seat. He led the way, instructing her to sit down. Olivia asked Ignis about their current location. Ignis and Olivia settled at the table. The Merchant Association chief placed his cup onto the table. He then asked Ignis the reason that had brought her there. Ignis requested that he educate her about this world. She asked the Merchant Association chief to provide her with various pieces of information, carefully concealing her identity as a monster, from how to log off to how to remove her brother's items. Her brother's items could be extracted in any village. However, there was no such facility in Alukia because it was a village for beginners. She knew there were 5 items remaining. The top rankers completely concealed their class and other crucial information. She acknowledged that it would not be an effortless battle, but she also understood that she could not surrender. Meanwhile, a screen materialized before her, displaying details about an absolute quest for the most substantial being. The quest objectives included forming the strongest possible party. She was required to collect points from player-versus-player PK encounters and various events. The top 12 individuals would then participate in the Absolute Battle Royale. They were notified that the event would take place on December 1st. Finally, the reward was an absolute grade unique item. Ignis observed that the world was evolving more rapidly than anyone had anticipated. Immediately following Ignis' victory over Rush, an absolute quest was initiated for all users of the VR game Hidden Ego. A mystical item was presented as the ultimate prize. The absolute grade denoted a top-tier item possessing cheat-level capabilities. The fascination surrounding this enigmatic item and the user's fervent desire for greater strength were more than enough to propel them into action. Meanwhile, Rush slowly got up and sat, feeling utterly annoyed and deeply frustrated. He clenched his teeth and hurled insults at Ignis. He rose from his bed and stepped out of his room. The monster had acted as if it possessed its own will, but he considered it unsurprising. Even if a highly advanced, self-governing AI existed within the game, Hidden Ego. The game administrators did not engage in direct communication with the users. However, the game was remarkably popular due to its immense freedom and captivating gameplay. Rush acknowledged that this game was indeed enjoyable. The administrators had previously engaged in peculiar behaviors. Rush was preoccupied with his phone, communicating with Hyan and Minow. He messaged both of them in a group chat, declaring that this game was trash. Min asked Rush if he was only just realizing this, stating his belief that the game had been trash from the very beginning. Another player, Kim Jian, inquired of Rush what had transpired, noting his usual proficiency in the game. Rush then typed a message, asking them what kind of monster could possibly possess its own ego. Conversely, the Merchant Association chief opted not to inquire about Ignis' true nature. He instead asked Ignis if there was anything else she wished to know from him. Ignis produced the same coupon he had given her earlier. She extended it toward the Merchant Association chief, explaining that she wished to purchase some clothing for Olivia. He grinned, having already anticipated her request. He told her to wait a moment. He then led Olivia to the store, inviting her to select any dress she desired. She began examining the dresses. One she initially considered was too costly, so she ultimately purchased an Elysian slime apparel set, a limited edition item. The Merchant Association chief observed Olivia wearing the dress, noting that it looked quite suitable on her. Olivia twirled, telling Ignis to observe how flowing the dress was. Ignis looked at Olivia. The Merchant Association chief informed Ignis that the coupon was merely a discount ticket, but the dress Olivia had chosen was complimentary. He also subtly pointed out that the dress Ignis was wearing herself was quite expensive, demonstrating the true generosity of a merchant. Ignis asked the merchant chief if he meant she owed him treasure. She produced a bag overflowing with coins and slammed it onto the table. She then questioned the chief if these coins would suffice or if he required more. She presented him with a rare item, a dragon treasure. After receiving the treasure, the Merchant Association chief was utterly astonished by Ignis' actions. She then told Olivia that they should depart. They were about to leave when the Merchant Association chief inquired where they intended to go. Ignis paused and replied to the Merchant Association chief that she would be searching for her brother. The scene shifts to the novice hunting ground of Alucia. Olivia and Ignis arrive there. Both Olivia and Ignis observe slimes lying on the ground. Ignis tells Olivia that she must journey across the entire world to exact revenge and resurrect her brother. She then tells Olivia that she is free to live as she chooses. Olivia's complexion visibly paled after hearing Ignis' words. She noticed a slime and approached it. Upon seeing the slime, she recalled her past moments with Emma. She remembered the closeness she and Emma had once shared. She began to cry after reliving those memories. She sniffled and started weeping uncontrollably. Emma had been her very first friend. She could not fathom how joyous she would be if Emma were still alive. She was uncertain what she needed to do now. Amidst her sobs, she questioned what purpose she had to live for. She looked at the slime lying near her foot. She remembered when Rush had confined her within the slime machine. She then asked Ignis if other monsters like those slimes existed out in the world. Having witnessed a festival utilizing slimes, a cage designed to imprison monsters, and the general treatment they endured, Ignis was convinced that what had happened to Emma and Olivia was not an isolated incident. She told Olivia that the possibility of what she was asking did indeed exist. Olivia clenched her hand tightly. She assured Emma that she would also assist her in finding her brother. Therefore, during their journey, they should endeavor to save as many monsters as possible. She understood that saving Taffas before other monsters with egos was not what he would have wanted. Ignis accepted Olivia's offer, agreeing to their shared objective. Olivia was visibly delighted by Ignis' agreement. Thus began the adventure of Ignis, a dragon who had lost her brother, and Olivia, a slime who had lost her friend. Their journey together commenced at this very moment. As they were leaving the location, Olivia suddenly heard a phrase about traveling safely. She paused. Ignis asked her what had happened and why she had stopped moving. Olivia told Ignis that she felt as though she had heard Emma's voice. She looked back and smiled, certain that she would return. In her heart, she promised Emma that she would be back with her soon. At 1:25 a.m., deep within the Alucia forest, Olivia and Ignis walked through the trees. And Olivia yawned, feeling drowsy. Ignis observed that the sun had completely set, so she decided they should set up camp somewhere. They cut tree branches and started a bonfire. As the bonfire ignited, Olivia felt a sense of relief, finally experiencing some warmth. Ignis offered her a blanket for coverage. Olivia expressed her gratitude, noting that Ignis cared for her like an elder sister. Ignis sat beside Olivia. Olivia asked Ignis if she wasn't cold. Ignis declined, reminding Olivia that she was, after all, a dragon of fire. Around the fire, Olivia asked Ignis what had befallen her brother. Ignis became emotional upon hearing her brother's name. In a somber voice, she recounted to Olivia how she and her brother had shared numerous tales beneath the starry sky, stories of his loss, all the battles she had fought before her encounter with Rush, and how she had inexplicably lost her powers. Olivia sniffled, finding Ignis' story profoundly sad. Amidst her sobs, she asked Ignis if she was traveling the world to reclaim her deceased brother's item, deeming it a sorrowful endeavor. Ignis smiled and affectionately called Olivia a crybaby. She then inquired how Olivia had managed to escape that place alone. Olivia provided Ignis with a detailed account. She explained that Rush had killed her, and her consciousness had faded. It felt as though her memories had vanished along with her senses. She experienced a sensation akin to falling into an eternal abyss. She believed she had lost her inner flame when she was imprisoned and subjected to torture. However, the sole thought that remained was the absolute necessity to protect Emma. At that critical moment, the flame that had been extinguished reignited. And when she finally opened her eyes, she forcefully shattered the machine, gaining her freedom. She demolished the machine, thus escaping with an unwavering resolve to protect Emma. Ignis began contemplating the concept of a monster's flame and its ego. Emma's flame was completely gone, yet Ignis wondered how Olivia's had been rekindled. She couldn't be certain whether the items would truly revive Taphas. She grew frustrated, realizing she knew too little about this world or the mystical flame. Olivia smiled and informed Ignis that she had a gift for her. She presented Ignis with a keychain. She explained that it was called a keychain and that she had purchased it from the merchant because it resembled Ignis. Ignis was delighted to see that Olivia had gotten it for her. Olivia then handed the keychain to Ignis. Ignis thanked her for the thoughtful gift, promising to cherish it always. Although nothing was fully resolved, conversing with Olivia had softened her heart and alleviated some of her pain. Sometime later, she told Olivia they should get some sleep. She noticed that Olivia was already asleep. After a moment, Ignis sensed someone's presence. She discerned a shadow in the distance. Upon clearer observation, she saw a male figure standing before her. She immediately rose, gripping her sword tightly. The man's face was obscured. She observed him and wondered what he was. However, she could distinctly feel the distant flame of a monster. The man with the blank face inquired of Ignis if she did not wish to resurrect her brother. Ignis, upon hearing mention of her brother from this stranger, became bewildered. The man assured her that he would reveal everything if she quietly followed him. He then addressed her by name. Ignis was certain that this individual was, without a doubt, a monster. Yet, she had no idea how he knew her name or the existence of her brother. She was convinced that this person was not someone she had encountered previously. She extended her sword toward him and demanded to know his identity. The man turned his head, waved his hand dismissively at Ignis, and told her it was perfectly acceptable if she had no desire for information. He then bid her farewell, and Ignis watched him, perplexed as to whether he was an enemy, unsure what to do with the unexpected information. However, she could not leave Olivia sleeping alone in such a vulnerable state. The man then assured Ignis that their meeting would only last a few minutes, so she needn't worry excessively. Ignis considered that if the meeting was indeed brief, she could perhaps arrange something for Olivia. She raised her hand and activated her summoning magic skill. Following the incantation, the fire elemental Ifrit materialized. She commanded the fire elemental Ifrit to remain there and protect Olivia. The fire elemental Ifrit nodded, and Ignis began to follow the unknown man's lead. The man sat on a bench and expressed his pleasure that she had come. He assured Ignis that he would answer any questions she might have, for instance, those pertaining to her brother or the powers she might require. The very first question Ignis posed to the man was to reveal his identity. The man informed her that he was a monster who shared a similar fate to hers. He then told Ignis that he could not disclose any further information about himself. Ignis was confused upon hearing this, unsure what he meant by their shared fate. She then asked him for information regarding her brother, and he proceeded to list the top-ranked individuals. Rank number 5 is the Castle Lord. Rank number 4 is the Vagabond, and rank 3 is the World Tree. Furthermore, Rank 2 is covetous, and rank 1 is the ghost. He then told Ignis that this was all the information he could provide. Ignis had received vital information about the rankers, and she knew this knowledge was crucial for bringing Tafas back. She raised her sword, demanding that the man reveal everything. She warned him that if he refused, she would inflict harm upon him. Therefore, to avoid injury, he must disclose everything he knew. The man observed Ignis' intense determination and told her to let him inform her of something. She was not the only boss monster in the vicinity. Conversely, Olivia awoke from her slumber. She rose and noticed a male figure passing through the forest. The man extended his hand, and a screen appeared before him, displaying an error message. The man realized that the system prevented him from harming the protagonist. Ignis recalled having seen that very message before. It was the same one that appeared when she was unable to cast her skills. She was certain of it. However, it was unfortunate. Yet, the man did not believe he could approach her any closer. Ignis asked the man what he meant. He did not know how many such instances there were before she developed an ego. Ignis wondered what he meant by ego. The man informed her that understanding her ego was the sole path to becoming human. Ignis noticed feathers in the sky, which she had seen previously. Without wasting a second, Ignis ran back to where she had left Olivia sleeping. Although it didn't take long, she felt she shouldn't have left Olivia waiting alone. She reached the spot, but to her shock, Olivia was gone. She saw Ifrit still present. She asked Ifrit why he hadn't protected Olivia. She sighed, realizing that if she had prioritized what she had told him about staying put, her skills might not have fully returned. Nevertheless, she knew she had to find Olivia now, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, Olivia saw someone there. She asked if it was Ignis. It was a man with long brown fur. Olivia asked the man who he was. The man looked at Olivia. A screen displayed his name, Kia, a brown wolf pup. Kia glared at Olivia, gritting his teeth upon seeing she was human. He struck Olivia, but she managed to evade the full force of his attack. She was hit slightly and fell to the ground. She stared at him while sitting. Kia declared to Olivia that he would never forgive humans who harmed his family. He expressed his annoyance with all humans. In a loud voice, Olivia told him he was mistaken, she was not human. He was surprised to hear this. He asked Olivia if she was a monster if she wasn't human. Olivia nodded. Kia, after learning she was a monster, turned his face away. He was about to leave, confused about whether she was a monster or a human. Olivia saw him heading in the other direction. She asked him his name and questioned where he was going. He asked Olivia why she would care. He told her to disappear from his sight. She told Kia that her name was Olivia and asked him if he had seen a woman wearing a red patterned cloak. He looked at Olivia, realizing she herself was wearing the red patterned cloak. Olivia was ashamed of her foolishness, having forgotten that Ignis had given her the cloak to protect her from the cold. He asked Olivia if she was stupid, but he continued on his way without stopping. He noticed Olivia still following him and told her to stop. Olivia again asked him where he was going. He told Olivia that he was following the pack of wolves ahead. Olivia asked him the reason for following the wolf pack. He asked Olivia if she had a family. Upon hearing the word family from him, Olivia fell silent. As they were talking, a hunter suddenly drew an arrow. The arrow struck a tree directly, and Kia wondered if it was a human. The human asked Kia if he had said it was a human, believing he had gotten lucky and would be pleased. The man was a hunter named Rukul. Rukul told Kia that he couldn't bring him back dead, so he would go easy on him. Kia gritted his teeth in aggression. He told Rukul not to even think about doing it. He leaped towards Rukul, warning him to leave this forest alive. With full speed, he neared Rukul. Rukul punched Kia, who fell to the ground. He realized his body was becoming numb. Rukul clenched his hand, wondering how a monster like him dared to stand up against him. He assured Kia that he surely could not win. A cage from above descended upon Kia, trapping him inside. Rukul, after imprisoning him, looked at Olivia and asked her if she was also a monster. Olivia was startled to see him looking at her, and she became confused. She wondered what she should do, as Kia had been defeated by the human. She thought she had to save Kia at all costs, but she was terrified. She shouted at Rukul, demanding to know what he would do with Kia. She told him to answer her. And Rukl began considering his response. He told Olivia that he was only doing this as a request, but they would probably conduct experiments, torture, modification, and brainwashing, and then they would likely kill him. Olivia was shocked after hearing him. She thought that it was the same as before, but it was repeating. Something irreversible was about to happen again. She realized she had to save that monster. She ran towards Rukl. Rukl saw her approaching. He believed that a mere monster could do nothing. Kia, from inside the cage, slashed at Rukl's leg. He told Rukl that he would not forgive him. Rukl saw Kia, who had gotten up. He wondered if the anesthesia was insufficient. Meanwhile, Olivia got very close to Rukl. Rukl glimpsed at the wolf. He questioned when Olivia had approached him so closely. Olivia screamed and struck Rukl. Rukl fell from the cliff. They both fell to the ground. Rukl saw Olivia coughing. He asked her if she thought she would win by dropping him there. He called Olivia a monster. Olivia stood up, staggering. Well, she told Rukl that she wouldn't know unless she tried. Something began to flare up inside her. No other monster should endure the same traumatic experience as her. On the other hand, Olivia was certain she wouldn't understand her powers until she attempted to use them. Olivia noticed that her body was significantly larger, but also burning hot. She could feel that this state wouldn't last long, but she also knew that if she didn't defeat this guy, that monster would be in grave danger. She clenched her teeth. She knew she had a compelling reason why she could not lose to Rukl. She ran toward Rukl to attack him. Rukl told Olivia that her attacks were incredibly slow and entirely predictable. He told Olivia that her actions could barely even be considered attacks. He grabbed Olivia's hand. He punched her. Rukl also, in return, punched her directly in the stomach. He grabbed her shirt and stated that watching her mimic humans genuinely irritated him. He asked her if he was correct in assuming she had never fought against another human. He made it clear to her that a monster like her could never triumph because they were merely a source of experience points. He referred to them as a sacrificial ground, existing solely to make players stronger. He firmly believed that such creatures existed only to be eliminated. She asked Rukl if he truly believed monsters existed solely to be killed by humans. She screamed, telling him that this notion could not be true at all. Rukl kicked Olivia, who fell to the ground. Olivia told Rukl not to make her laugh. She asked Rukl to explain why monsters existed for humans. She asked him if they were destined to die. She vehemently refused to accept his line of thinking. She began to feel dizzy. Rukl noticed her lightheadedness and informed her that he would always inject poison with all his attacks. The poison he had just injected her with could kill weak monsters in mere minutes. He informed Olivia that she would become nothing more than experience points without an antidote. He also told her she would never obtain one. She stepped towards Rukl, telling him to wait. Lying on the ground, she wondered if she was going to die there. Additionally, she had no remaining strength in her body. A notification popped up, informing her that the effects of all-out pitches had been lifted. She realized she needed to save that monster. She started feeling incredibly foolish, wondering if she was truly going to perish in this manner. Lost in the forest, she felt pathetic as she remembered telling herself she would save other monsters. But now she couldn't save anyone. In her heart, she implored Emma to tell her what she was supposed to do. On the other hand, Kia was captured inside the cage. He couldn't move his body. He wondered if he should follow his family or the monster he had just met. Whatever his decision, it would have to wait until he was free from the cage. He knew he had to escape first to make any further choices. Meanwhile, Rukl approached. He called Olivia a stupid monster for bothering him in this way. He saw Kia there and asked him how he was doing. Kia asked Rukl what he had done to her. Rukl informed Kia that Olivia was dead, as he had injected her with poison. Kia cursed Rukl, telling him that he would never forgive him. However, Rukl had only prepared one cage. He felt regretful for having brought only a single cage. He informed Kia that the other monster, Olivia, was dead, and Kia would be used for experiments. Kia asked Rukl why humans did such things to monsters. Rukl told Kia that the reason was simply because it was enjoyable. Kia flew into a rage upon hearing that humans killed them purely for pleasure and torture. He began to glow red with aggression. He told Kia that he would kill him. Kia's first ego rage activated, and he started to become increasingly powerful from his intense anger. Rukul, upon witnessing this, realized that this was how a monster developed an ego. Kia attempted to break the cage, but Rukul observed his efforts. He complimented Kia's attempt, but informed him that this cage had been specifically designed for monsters that awakened their ego. He told Kia not to worry because there were many monsters like him at the place where he was going to take him. Suddenly, he sensed someone's presence. As he turned his head, he saw Olivia standing there, panting deeply. He was shocked to see her, as he believed she should be unable to move without an antidote. Olivia raised her hand. He saw Olivia holding an herb. He realized she had eaten a young shin herb that possessed detoxifying effects. Nevertheless, he informed her that the herb would not completely detoxify her. He drew his weapon, deciding to kill her anyway. He saw his arrow aimed at Olivia, and the arrow caused an explosion. The hunter's arrow bomb inflicted damage surpassing Olivia's HP, though the damage alone would have been more than sufficient. He realized it was the cape protecting her from the damage. He began firing more arrows at her. He thought it was nonsensical, despite her being a monster. Olivia was resolute, determined not to be scared anymore or even hesitate. She activated Olivia's ultimate skill, the Memorialia Dema, to honor Emma. Olivia was lying on the ground. A flower was near her. Suddenly, a window screen appeared before her, mentioning the slime of the hidden garden. It informed them that the attribute had been unlocked. Another notification appeared directly in front of her, informing her about slime's consumption and allowing her to obtain some of the consumed target's abilities. Furthermore, stronger abilities were acquired from targets associated with flowers. Another window screen informed Olivia about the Yungshin herb, which was of normal grade and possessed detoxifying effects. She wondered if she had gained this ability from eating that flower earlier. That day, she regretted not being able to give the flower to Emma, and she regretted leaving Emma's side. But this time, she knew she would regret it even more if she couldn't save this monster. She aimed her arrow and attacked Rukul. From above, she screamed and launched her attack at Rukul. An explosion occurred as soon as she released her arrow. Rukul stumbled, shocked that a mere monster had defeated him. Olivia was overjoyed by her success. She rolled and jumped on the ground. Kia broke the cage and freed himself from imprisonment. He asked Olivia how she had managed that. Olivia told Kia not to worry, informing him that she had beaten the hunter. Olivia helped Kia to his feet. She looked back and saw the hunter behind her. Rukul had activated Hunter's tenacity. A screen briefly appeared, stating that the player's soul resurrects for 70 seconds when killed while the prey is still alive. Rukul was holding his weapon. He told Olivia that he would kill her at any cost. Olivia was stunned to see that the hunter had revived. She had no idea what to do because she didn't possess much strength to fight him. Rukul rushed toward Olivia to strike her. Olivia saw him approaching. She believed it was the end, that she was going to die from Rukul's hit. Before the hunter could attack her, a blast suddenly occurred. Olivia fell to the ground. She saw this attack directed at Ignis and was filled with happiness and relief to see her. Ignis thanked God that she had arrived just in time and wasn't too late to save Olivia. She asked Olivia if she was all right, and Olivia assured her that she was perfectly fine. Kia asked Olivia who the girl was and to whom she was speaking. Olivia informed him that she was her friend, Ignis. Upon hearing the word friend from her, he recalled that he, too, once had a family. They were brown wolves, and he was the youngest. As was their custom, they were migrating to a new location as a pack. But something extraordinary happened to him. He developed an ego. His body felt scorching hot, and he was enveloped in a powerful beam of light. Then he transformed into a human form, with no trace of his former wolf self. He told his mother that his body had changed into the shape of a human. But contrary to his expectations, possessing an ego was not a good thing at all. As he became human, he was no longer a part of the family. He yelled at his mother, asking her if she knew he wasn't human, he was truly a wolf. He told his mother that he was still their family, despite everything. His mother began to roar at him. She rushed to bite him. He was stunned by this turn of events. Not only his mother, but everyone there attacked him. He had no idea why they would do that. He was clueless as to why they couldn't recognize him. Although he was still their family, despite his transformation into a human form, he escaped from the pack but couldn't abandon them. So he followed them, maintaining a distance. He observed them from afar. He hated humans and wanted to protect his family from them. Olivia asked Kia to tell them about his family. He told Olivia that his family no longer mattered because he was done with them. He believed that having a heart was painful, but sometimes something miraculous could occur. Meanwhile, his mother wolf happened to appear. He began to cry upon seeing his mother. He asked her if she was waiting for him. Olivia saw that the wolf who had appeared was indeed his family. The wolf mother began to emit sounds characteristic of a wolf. Ignis knew this monster did not possess the flame of an ego, so she wondered why it wasn't attacking them. Olivia showed Ignis the cage Rookle had used earlier, which looked remarkably similar to the one she had been imprisoned in. Ignis asked Olivia if that was the case. She considered that if it was the same cage, then it might be connected to guild number 0, since Rush had used an identical one. She suspected that the hunter might have some involvement. Kia looked at Ignis and asked if she was curious about the hunter. He told her that there was something he could do about this. Ignis was surprised to hear that Kia was capable of anything in this matter. Kia told her to give him a second. He activated the chasing the pack skill. A brilliant flash of light appeared, indicating a path. It was the trail the hunter had left while coming there. He informed Ignis that the trace would not remain visible for very long, so he told her to hurry. He told both of them to go ahead, as he had to follow his mother back to the pack. He also informed both of them of his name, Kia. He looked at Olivia and thanked her for saving him. Olivia realized that having an ego was painful, but she wanted to believe that having a heart brought a sense of calm. She told Kia that she liked him and wanted him to join them on their adventure. Ignis told Olivia that Kia wished to be with his family. Kia asked Olivia what she meant by adventure. Olivia confidently informed him that they could venture anywhere. However, Ignis interjected, telling Olivia to simply cease speaking. They continued their journey, following Kia's pack, which led them to their subsequent destination. As dawn broke, they arrived at the majestic Castle of Hope, known as Rook's Palio. Olivia and Ignis gazed upon the magnificent fortress. Olivia was overcome with joy and excitement at the sight of the enormous castle. Ignis, observing the human stronghold, mused that she might be able to gather crucial information about the rankers there. She also realized that she could likely extract her brother's item from a castle of such considerable size. They stepped inside the castle, and Olivia and Ignis began walking through its bustling streets. Olivia noticed a multitude of people, her happiness soaring at the sheer number of individuals present. Ignis, ever cautious, pointed out to Olivia, in case she hadn't already observed, that this was a castle teeming with humans. Ignis warned Olivia that they could not predict what might transpire. Olivia looked at Ignis and grinned, asserting that not all humans were inherently bad. She gently reminded Ignis of the kind shopkeeper, a benevolent man who had provided them with clothing and valuable information. Ignis found herself swayed by Olivia's words, acknowledging the truth in her statement. Not every human was malevolent. Ignis knew that Olivia had been hurt by humans on numerous occasions. She struggled to comprehend how Olivia could still place her trust in them. Perhaps, even if Ignis found certain things to be without value, she recognized that Olivia might perceive them differently. Nevertheless, she realized her immediate priority was to extract the material from the item she had taken from Rush. By chance, she inadvertently collided with a man, causing his notepad to tumble to the ground. He immediately bent down to retrieve his fallen notepad. He promptly apologized to Ignis for the accidental collision, emphasizing that it was entirely unintentional. He then inquired if Ignis was all right, and Olivia, with cheerful enthusiasm, greeted the man. Ignis scrutinized the man's face, instantly recognizing him as a monster. She remarked that some monsters masqueraded as humans. He turned and continued on his way. Ignis pondered why this individual, who was undeniably a monster, had ventured into a human castle. She grasped Olivia's hand and told her they should first locate a nearby place where she could extract materials. They proceeded toward the designated extraction area. Upon their arrival, they encountered a man named Risaku, whose profession was that of a blacksmith. Risaku grinned broadly, inquiring about the purpose of their visit. Ignis presented him with Rush's sword, asking if he could extract the material that had been utilized to enhance it. Risaku was visibly shocked to see the sword in Ignis' possession. He recognized it as Kaishar's shadow sword and questioned Ignis on how she had acquired it. He began to huff, remembering that a top-tier material had been employed in the sword's enhancement. He instructed them to wait outside, assuring them he would be finished in a moment. Ignis, however, informed Risaku that she intended to remain present during the extraction process. She explained that her reason for staying was the item's profound importance to her. He grinned and consented to perform the extraction in front of her. He placed the sword into Hope's extraction device. He informed Ignis that the device in which he had placed the sword was specifically designed to extract materials from items. He then allowed his mana to flow into the machine, activating it. The extraction process commenced, and Risaku observed an incredible aura emanating from the sword. He had never before witnessed such powerful effects. With the completion of the extraction, Tafas, the dragon of despair Fong, appeared. Ignis approached her brother's Fong and grasped it. As soon as she held it in her hands, she began to experience a series of memories. Seeing a past scene where the entire area was bathed in a crimson light, she clutched her head, wondering about the nature of this memory. It felt as though she had forgotten something profoundly significant. She questioned her own motives for trying to save her brother, asking herself if she was doing so simply because he was her sibling or because she harbored a deep hatred for humans. She continued to witness visions of her brother's past. Suddenly, Risaku placed his hand on Ignis' shoulder, asking if she was all right. Ignis immediately lashed out at Risaku, becoming aggressive. She vehemently told him not to touch her. She then slashed Risaku's arm with her nails. After her angry outburst, she instantly realized that her aggression had been completely unprovoked. She promptly apologized to him, admitting she had gone a bit too far. Risaku assured her that he was fine and asked if something was troubling her. Risaku informed Ignis that he was aware of the many individuals with diverse backstories in this game. However, Ignis remained silent, offering no response to Risaku. She turned away, preparing to leave. Before her departure, she instructed Risaku to keep the sword. Risaku was stunned to hear that she was relinquishing ownership of the sword to him. Ignis then exited the premises and went to Olivia. Olivia looked at Ignis and inquired if she had successfully retrieved her brother's item. Ignis confirmed, telling Olivia that they should depart. As they were about to leave, Risaku emerged and informed them that it would begin soon. Ignis looked at Risaku and asked what he meant by it starting soon. Risaku was surprised by her ignorance. He informed her that he was referring to Cynthia's speech, which would commence shortly. Ignis stared at Risaku, asking him to repeat what he had just said. The scene shifted to Cynthia, who was inquiring of her colleagues about the progress of the experiment preparations. She also asked them to update her on any advancements in the study. One of her colleagues confirmed that they were fully prepared for the experiment and that the device was completely set up. Another colleague informed Cynthia that the research was also progressing without any complications. She believed the progress was proceeding smoothly. Although she had anticipated it would take some time, she glanced at Ignis' picture and concluded that an intriguing individual had arrived. Ignis told Olivia that they should go there. She was unaware that Cynthia would be present. She ran toward the location where Cynthia was scheduled to deliver her speech. She observed the area, which was becoming increasingly crowded. As she headed for the center of the castle, she was certain that Cynthia was coming there, and the people had gathered specifically to hear Cynthia speak. They murmured amongst themselves as Cynthia arrived. She greeted everyone, introducing herself as Cynthia, the rank number 5. She smiled and expressed her pleasure at meeting all of them. The crowd erupted in cheers for Cynthia, a loud roar emanating from the audience who had come solely to listen to her. One person began to weep upon seeing Cynthia, clearly overcome with adoration for her. Others felt compelled to capture her image, as she was considered a celebrity. Cynthia decided to make a few quick announcements that day. She informed everyone that all users had recently been granted the Absolute Quest, a quest she was certain they all knew required the participation of many individuals. She explained how points could be acquired through various events, but also highlighted the most straightforward method, eliminating other players. She confirmed that player killing PK was not restricted within the system. She then told everyone that there had been a recent surge in PK incidents within the castle, which she found deeply regrettable. She implored everyone to refrain from fighting one another within the castle, emphasizing that it was their sanctuary. She promised everyone that all rewards would be distributed equally among the guild members in the castle once she emerged as the champion of the Absolute Quest. Kim questioned Distra how they would accumulate enough points without engaging in PK. Distra asked Kim if he was being foolish, pointing out that only the top rankers would have the opportunity to participate in the grand battle, meaning most users wouldn't stand a chance. She also informed them that the guard test was scheduled for the following day, so those who wish to participate must gather at the designated area on time. Last but not least, she activated her Area of Effect AoE skill, God's Fifth Blessing, upon everyone. She smiled, wished them good luck, and encouraged them to enjoy themselves. Ignis recognized Cynthia as the person she was searching for, given her status as the 5th place ranker. After the speech concluded, Kim remarked that it had been a good show. Tatantha corrected Kim, stating that it was a speech, not a show. Meanwhile, Olivia looked at Ignis and asked her if Cynthia was the same girl who had taken the item from her brother. Ignis appeared somewhat distressed. Nevertheless, she confirmed to Olivia that she was correct. Cynthia was indeed the girl who had taken her brother's item. They were both about to leave the area when a boy approached them. He called out to them, asking if it was their first time in the castle. He assumed they weren't particularly fond of Cynthia. He then told them he possessed some valuable intelligence and inquired if they wished to accompany him to hear what information he had. He revealed that Cynthia was not as benevolent as everyone believed. People returning from the speech overheard the boy discussing Cynthia. They believed Cynthia was incredibly merciful to allow such individuals to wander the streets freely. Ignis, after listening to the boy, wondered if he was opposed to Cynthia. She realized that not all humans within the castle held her in high regard. She agreed to accompany the boy, but he was shocked that she was so readily willing to go with him, suggesting she should be more cautious. However, he decided they must proceed regardless. Olivia asked Ignis if everything would be all right. Ignis reassured Olivia not to worry, as she had regained sufficient power to defeat Rush. As long as their opponent wasn't someone from Guild Number 0, she was confident they would be fine. However, the most crucial thing at the moment was information. She instructed Olivia, as they walked, not to leave her side under any circumstances. She followed the boy, and they both arrived at the camp, which served as the anti-Cynthia hideout. The boy informed everyone already present that he had brought new members. The boy's name was Lugo. The individuals already present warmly welcomed Olivia and Ignis. Olivia, with her exceptional social skills, greeted everyone. Olivia whispered into Ignis' ear to let her handle the socializing, as she needed information from them and was confident she could manage it. Ignis smiled upon seeing Olivia's face. She realized that this situation was different from her fight with Rush because now she had a trusted comrade. Ignis sat at the table with the members and questioned them about their current activities. They informed Ignis that, at present, they weren't undertaking anything special. In fact, they were simply waiting. However, they planned to attack Cynthia, and they were also concealing a monster. Ignis was shocked to hear about the monster from him. On the contrary, Cynthia ran happily, asking her fellow students if they had observed the foolish expressions on the faces of the crowd. However, she believed Ignis' expression was the most captivating, as she had stared at her so fiercely that Cynthia almost felt a desire to eliminate her. Cynthia's companion, whose face remained obscured, asked Cynthia if she was truly going to leave the hideout undisturbed. The companion warned Cynthia that they might uncover her malevolent side. Cynthia reassured her companion not to worry, as she was certain that everything was proceeding according to her meticulously crafted plan. The scene then shifted to the hideout. where Lugo informed Ignis that the guard test would be held the following day at the same location where Cynthia had delivered her speech. The guard test was expected to be challenging, so Lugo asked Ignis if she would be all right. Ignis clenched her hands, assuring him that the difficulty of the test, whether hard or easy, posed no problem for her. Lugo then asked Ignis if, in that case, he could assume they shared the same objective. Ignis agreed, assuring him that they would proceed as planned. Lugo told Ignis that there was still some time remaining before the test commenced, and they had something important to do beforehand. Ignis looked at Lugo, inquiring about this important task. The other members, along with Lugo, stepped forward and informed Ignis that the crucial matter was that they needed to form a party. Ignis felt a flicker of annoyance. Nevertheless, she knew they would be confronting Cynthia the following day. It was the afternoon of the next day, and the time for the test had arrived. They all gathered in the same location as yesterday. The monster Ignis had observed yesterday was also participating in the test. She wondered what the creature might be planning. Cynthia arrived, informing everyone that there were a total of 5 participants, which was fewer than usual. She noted that the number of participants had significantly decreased, wondering if the reason was the test's perceived difficulty. Ignis was intently watching Cynthia. She yearned to avenge her brother. She realized she couldn't simply force her way through as she had with Rush. She decided to first pass the test and gather more information, believing it was unwise to rush matters. Cynthia captured everyone's attention, asking if they were all prepared for the test. She then called out the guards and ordered them to set up the equipment. The guards dragged a hanging apparatus toward them. Cynthia instructed everyone to change into the prepared clothing. Ignis was surprised to hear about changing her clothes. She hadn't anticipated this requirement. These were the uniforms of the Rook's Pelio guards, which were equipped items. After they changed their clothes, Ignis felt peculiar wearing something other than her usual pants. Cynthia complimented everyone, telling them they all looked splendid. She then decided to announce the test's contents. She informed everyone that there would be 3 missions. The first was maintaining public order. As she had mentioned yesterday, their mission would be to uphold order within the castle by preventing disorderly conduct, such as player killing. She believed 2 days would be ample time for them to complete their mission. She told everyone they would be assessed based on their attitude and performance. She then informed everyone that the second mission might prove more challenging for some, involving a monster raid. Ignis was shocked to hear about the monster raid. Cynthia then told them about the final mission, which would only be revealed after they successfully completed all the others. She withheld its details for the sake of fairness. Ignis observed 3 of the participants standing before her: a brown-haired man named Ryhelm, a martial artist, another man, Ralph, belonging to the fighter class, and a purplish-haired individual named Frel, whose class remained unknown. Ignis and Olivia stood together. Olivia noticed these players. Cynthia smiled, then told them they should first divide into groups. She believed they should mix men and women in each team. She paired Olivia with Ryhelm, informing them that they would be accompanied by Proctor B. She also told them that Frel and Ralph would be accompanied by Proctor A. With Ignis remaining, she had no partner. So, Cynthia decided that Ignis would accompany her. She assumed Ignis had no objections to this arrangement, asking Ignis if her assumption was correct. Ignis observed that Cynthia was intentionally separating her from Olivia. She wondered if Cynthia had discovered their secret. Nevertheless, she decided not to be ridiculous, confident that things would not go awry. Olivia approached Ignis and held her hand, reassuring Ignis that everything would be all right. Ignis had been doubtful, but Olivia's assurance brought her relief. She resolved to intervene if she perceived Olivia to be in danger. Cynthia then asked them to allow her to introduce the proctors for this examination. She introduced Proctor A, whose name was Selvarat, and Proctor B, named Tinia. Tinia, in turn, informed everyone that the exam would be rigorous. Selvarat also advised them to brace themselves. Cynthia then announced the commencement of the 32 tests of Rook's Pelio. And so, the guard test began, with each participant pursuing their own distinct objectives. Group B's mission was to maintain public order. They were patrolling the streets. Olivia overheard someone shouting at Hying, demanding he apologize for striking them first. Kim yelled at the boy who had bumped into him, insisting he display more sincerity in his apology. The boy retorted, yelling back that Kim was the one who had initiated the contact and reminding him that he had already offered an apology. He then asked Hein what his problem was. Kim shouted at him, demanding sincerity or gold. He warned the boy that he would kill him if he didn't produce some gold. Tinia remarked to Olivia that these individuals would make good opponents for her. Ryhelm decided to handle the situation with those guys, and Olivia carefully observed them. She recognized the man as the one who had persistently bullied all the slimes not long after Emma, and she had developed their egos. She remembered that Emma had stopped her before, but she was confident she could handle this herself. Tinia was watching Olivia, who was observing them from behind a wall. On the other hand, Cynthia advised Ignis not to be nervous. She instructed her to approach, and Ignis stepped toward her. Cynthia raised her hand, placed it on Ignis' shoulder, and told her not to worry. She grinned and asked Ignis if it was true that she was a monster. Ignis realized that Cynthia was completely looking down on her. She considered eliminating her right then and there. She wondered what would happen to Olivia if she killed Cynthia. She knew that Olivia might get into trouble if the proctor discovered that Cynthia was in danger. Ignis pushed Cynthia away, telling her she believed she was there to take a test. Cynthia apologized to Ignis, claiming she was merely joking. She asked Ignis if she had been offended. Ignis denied it, stating she was not offended. She knew it was incredibly difficult to restrain her anger because she could sense her brother's item, which was embedded in the crown Cynthia was wearing. Cynthia laughed and told Ignis that there were recent rumors about monsters developing egos. She believed it was a popular new joke among users. Therefore, she told Ignis that there was no possibility of her being a monster. She looked at Ignis' face, wondering if she should torment her further. The scene shifted to Olivia, who interrupted Kim. Kim asked her who she was, questioning if she couldn't see that he was looting, attempting to extort an apology. Olivia told Kim that while she didn't believe all humans were flawed, she could not forgive individuals like him who harmed others for their own amusement. She then activated her skill, All-Out Pitch. Kim drew his sword, asking Olivia if she thought she could win simply by becoming a little larger. He called her slime head and assured her that she would regret this later. He delivered a sword slash with his weapon, unleashing a wild sword blast. Olivia knew this skill would have initially killed her, but after acquiring the ultimate skill from her fight with the hunter, she was aware that she had grown stronger. She rushed toward Kim, who told her not to get arrogant after dodging just one of his attacks. He then used both the sword slash and cross slash on Olivia. His attack sliced through Olivia's body. She knew that slime skills specialized in absorption, and she had acquired the consumption skill. She also knew she would replenish her mana by consuming the flowers she had picked. She tapped Kim's chest, activating her slime touch skill. He fell far away and slowly began to lose his strength, becoming encased in slime. He gripped his sword. Meanwhile, Tatantha aimed her arrows at the slime ball in which he was trapped. The slime ruptured, and he was freed. She thought it was very helpful. Kim told Olivia that she had better watch out. She began receiving notifications from the system, with one window displaying a temporary strength buff of 70 from the user Bundan. In the meantime, another screen appeared, informing her of a temporary stamina buff of 150. The third and final window displayed a temporary defense buff of 54. Kim told Olivia to die. As soon as he leaped toward her, Olivia kicked him. Her kick was so brutal that he fell to the ground with a harsh impact. Olivia thought in her heart that Emma didn't have to worry about her because she could overcome any adversities that might arise. A notification appeared, informing her that the skill All-Out Pitch had been deactivated. She exhaled deeply after defeating him. Distra loaded her weapon, telling Olivia not to forget about them. She then fired her skilled fireball toward Olivia. Olivia enabled her skill, Constrained Shot. She realized that she had no strength left. Meanwhile, Tinia stepped in, telling them that it was enough. She began using her skills and commended Olivia for her excellent performance. She informed Olivia that she had passed the first test of maintaining public order with flying colors. She ordered Ryhelm to escort these people out of the castle, after which he would also pass the test. Ryhelm agreed to follow her orders to successfully complete the test. Tatantha knew that nothing good ever came from following him around. He asked Ryhelm if he could let them slide just this once. Ultimately, Olivia and Ryhelm, as Group B, successfully passed the test of maintaining public order. On the other hand, Group A's monster raid was in progress. Sarad knew that she would be maintaining public order, so they would handle the monster raid first. She told Frel to take care of the items she was giving him. She placed some magic stones in his hand, informing him that a magic stone would transport him to a designated location. Selvarat told him they should depart now and began walking forward. He recalled an old memory, when one of his fellow monsters had told him that humans confirmed their existence by calling each other by name. So, he had been informed that Bo14 would also be granted a name. His fellow monster had suggested he leave and discover the purpose of his existence. The fellow monster had named him Frel. At the test site designated for Group A, known as Skyland, Sarad announced that this particular hunting ground had only recently been acquired. She then revealed the name of the monster they were tasked with hunting, Shelly Shell. Selvarat interjected, noting that the appropriate hunting level for this monster was 70. Suddenly, a Shelly Shell roared and charged directly at Selvarat. Selvarat struck the monster, causing it to fall to the ground. An item materialized from its defeated form. Selvarat picked up the item, held it in her hand, and informed them that it was called Shell's Ribbon, an item with an exceptionally low drop rate. She then told everyone that collecting 20 of these ribbons would be sufficient for them to pass the test. Ralph, a fighter class member, confidently told Frel to relax and enjoy the spectacle, assuring him that he could easily defeat Shelly Shell. He then activated his skill, Seismic Smash, and with a forceful punch to the ground, the entire floor rumbled. In a single powerful attack, numerous Shelly Shell monsters perished. Selvarat commended Ralph for his potent assault. However, she then questioned Frel, asking why he was merely standing there and if hunting monsters made him uncomfortable. A Shelly Shell groaned and lunged toward Frel. Frel realized that he needed to uncover the purpose of his existence. He resolved to pass the test and proceeded to slash at the monsters with his sword. Selvarat complimented Frel, remarking that he was quite skilled for a monster. The scene then shifted to Ignis and Cynthia, who were both walking. The only sound Ignis could discern was their footsteps echoing in the long corridor, making her feel as though they were moving in circles. Cynthia and Ignis finally reached their destination. Cynthia apologized to Ignis for compelling her to come all this way. Suddenly, a door opened, revealing a strikingly beautiful place. Cynthia remarked to Ignis that the area didn't quite align with the castle's overall ambience, but she confessed her fondness for elaborate decorations. She told Ignis that her sole intention was to converse with her. She then gestured for Ignis to approach from another direction. Ignis demanded that Cynthia reveal what she wished to say, emphasizing her limited time. Cynthia then decided to abandon her pretense of being a benevolent individual. She declared to Ignis that she, in fact, knew everything about her. She revealed Ignis' name and her identity as the Dragon of Destruction. She challenged Ignis to confirm if any of her statements were incorrect. She also revealed her knowledge of Ignis being the sister of Taphas, the Dragon of Despair, and a monster who had defeated Rush. Ignis was stunned by this revelation, wondering how Cynthia possessed such comprehensive knowledge about her. Consumed by rage, flames erupted around her as she demanded to know how Cynthia knew so much. Cynthia calmly informed her that the cage in which her friend Olivia had been held captive was her own invention. Furthermore, the cage used by the hunter Ignis had previously encountered was also hers. Ignis was aghast upon hearing this. Cynthia expressed feigned regret for Rush, explaining that she had secretly implanted a spy robot within the device, allowing her to observe the entire battle. Ignis realized that Cynthia had provided Rush with the cage, which had led directly to Olivia's captivity and Emma's demise. She was also the mastermind behind the hunter's relentless pursuit of monsters with egos. Ignis wondered if all of this malevolence was Cynthia's doing, resolving never to forgive her if she were indeed responsible for everything. She grew increasingly aggressive, declaring to Cynthia that she would end her existence immediately. Cynthia mocked her, asking if she was truly certain about that. She warned Ignis that if she killed Cynthia, Tinia would eliminate Olivia, and if Cynthia herself were killed, her ego monsters would vanish forever. She questioned Ignis if she was genuinely prepared to accept such consequences. She knew that Olivia had indeed perished in the torture room, but the thought of Emma had miraculously reignited Olivia's inner flame. Cynthia then told Ignis that such a miracle would never occur again, stating that even if there was still a bug in the system, the probability of it happening was less than 0.01. She challenged Ignis, asking if she was willing to gamble her friend's life on a percentage so close to zero. Ignis gripped her sword tightly, telling Cynthia that she talked excessively. She also informed Cynthia that she would go and save Olivia after she had killed her, asserting that Olivia was not as vulnerable as Cynthia believed. Cynthia told Ignis that she actually desired to fight her now, but she believed it would be a waste of time to eliminate her here, because they were merely tools to extract her from this dreadful situation. She pressed a button, telling Ignis that she would see her again later. As soon as she pressed the button, a gaping hole appeared in the ground. Ignis observed that the floor's surface had vanished. Recognizing her monstrous nature, she decided she could no longer conceal it from Cynthia. She unfurled her wings. Cynthia assured Ignis not to worry, stating that she would soon place Olivia there as well. Suddenly, chains ensnared Ignis' foot. Ignis was bewildered by the unexpected turn of events. All at once, she recalled the map she had seen on Frel's notepad. Cynthia waved her hand, bidding Ignis farewell. Ignis found herself trapped by Cynthia, annoyed that Cynthia had dared to confine her. She couldn't perceive how far she had fallen. She looked around, suddenly wondering if this place was a dungeon. She continued descending deeper and deeper into the dungeon. Suddenly, a hand reached out to her. She saw a monster, a scorpion-like creature named Lard. He was held within a cage and pleaded with Ignis, vowing never to oppose a human again. Ignis observed that this individual was indeed a monster. But as she turned her head, she realized that not only this monster, but all of them were monsters. She was standing in a place completely surrounded by cages and prisons. The monsters were begging to be released from their confinement, even if just for a moment. They assured her they would never defy any human in the future. All of them were suffering inside their cages. She looked in all four directions, seeing monsters upon monsters everywhere. She could feel the faint flames of egos within all of these creatures, but it felt as though they would extinguish in mere seconds. She urged everyone to escape through the door. She activated her Dragon Strike and Rage / skills. She struck the door with all the power her body possessed. An error symbol appeared, surprising her. She remembered that this attack had enough force to even defeat Rush. She concluded that Cynthia must have rigged these cages. She recalled what the yellow-haired man had told her earlier about their plan. He had informed her that each of them possessed a specific item. They had never experienced such a successful infiltration. He slid a box toward Ignis, telling her she must activate this device if she managed to gain entry into the castle. Ignis asked the man what the device was, and he informed her it was a monad disruptor. He explained that if she installed it deep within the castle, a disruption pulse would spread like tree branches. The deeper she installed it, the more optimal the location. This was a place she desired to keep hidden. He had told her that the dungeon was located on the lowest floor of the castle. Ignis hadn't realized that the dungeon Lugo referred to was a monster dungeon. Nevertheless, she retrieved the device and pressed its button. As soon as she pushed the button, a beeping sound emanated from the device. A notification appeared, informing Ignis that there was 2 remaining until the activation of the mana disruption. She observed that the device did not activate immediately. Lard asked Ignis if she was a monster. Ignis confirmed, assuring him that they would all be free once this device activated. Lard thanked her, informing her that most of the monsters there had fainted. He told Ignis that he had only been there for a brief period after a hunter had captured him. Ignis noticed signs of torture on Lard's face. She wondered what Cynthia was attempting to achieve. On the other hand, a member of the anti-Cynthia team was seated. He observed that only 2 remained until activation, which meant Ignis had successfully infiltrated the castle. He informed the other members of the anti-Cynthia party that it was time for them to make their move. Another individual asked Lugo how he was so certain she would manage to get inside. Lugo informed him that he knew because she was a monster. The guy was shocked to hear Lugo's revelation, asking the yellow-haired man if he could truly discern such a thing. Lugo confirmed, stating he could indeed perceive it. He informed the guy that he and Cynthia had developed the technology to hold monsters captive together. He then ordered the guy to assemble their forces, as he had resolved to eliminate Cynthia with his own hands. The scene shifted back to Cynthia, who was inquiring of Selvarat and Tinia about the progress of the test. Selvarat informed Cynthia that her group had successfully completed the first test. Tinia also let Cynthia know that her group had passed the initial test. Cynthia smirked and told them that they had captured a boss-level monster. She then instructed both of them to proceed to the final step. They agreed to follow her orders. Tinia asked Olivia and Ryhelm to approach her. They followed Tinia's instructions, who then presented them with a magic stone, informing them that it would transport them to the next test site. She let them know that they would bypass the second test because circumstances had changed. She then asked them if they should now proceed to the following location. They both agreed, and she told them to follow her lead. They arrived at a desolate place, and Olivia asked Tinia what this location was. Tinia informed them that this was the final test, designed to assess their potential contribution as guards. She told them they would be fighting a proctor in this test. She then activated her skill, Potion of Strength. She told them they would pass if they could satisfy her. She made them aware that they could die, so she advised them to surrender if they feared the death penalty. Olivia knew that if she died as a monster with an ego, she wouldn't be able to respawn. She might be resurrected, similar to her experience with Rush. But if she surrendered here, she would carry greater regrets for the rest of her life. She told Tinia to count her in. Tinia asked Ryhelm if he would also be taking the test. Ryhelm also agreed to participate. Tinia asked them if she had mentioned that the test would be difficult, stating that she was incredibly strong. Nevertheless, before commencing the fight, she activated her skill, Advanced Healing Potion. She fully restored Ryhelm and Olivia's HP and MP. After replenishing their health and magic points, she instructed them to approach her. Conversely, Selvarat told Frel and Ralph that they had both heard correctly. The test required them to fight her. She offered them an elixir to heal themselves. She also offered the more timid individual the option to leave if they were unwilling to fight her. Both of them expressed their willingness to undertake the test. Selvarat felt pleased, as this was precisely what she wished to hear from them. She decided to commence the test. Cynthia told Selvarat and Tinia that they would execute their plan once this location contained a sufficient number of monsters. She believed that capturing a boss-level monster would be ideal. After everything was prepared, she resolved to suppress him and firmly intended to become the #1 ranker. The scene shifted to group as final test, which pitted Selvarat against Frel and Ralph. Ralph found the test highly suitable for his abilities, so he decided to engage. He charged toward Selvarat, who asked Ralph if he had claimed to be an infighter. While she admired his aggression, she told him she had no interest in him. She struck Ralph. As Selvarat was preoccupied with Ralph, Frel dashed toward her with incredible speed. She observed Frel's swiftness, and he delivered a sword slash to her. He then activated his quick slash skill and drew his sword. Suddenly, he sighed, realizing he had lost something vital to him. Selvarat was holding his glasses. She presented him with his glasses, asking if he was searching for them. Selvarat then deliberately cracked the lenses of his glasses. Frel resolved to see how long she could maintain her composure. He lunged towards Selvarat and began to attack her relentlessly. Selvarat blocked his attacks, informing Frel that a unique device existed at the entrance of Rook's Pelio Castle. Furthermore, she also told him that Cynthia and another person had created it. She explained in detail that it was a capture device crafted from a mysterious material because monsters initially could not depart from their designated fields. Although it was imperfect, they had discovered that monsters had infiltrated the castle. Selvarat asked Frel why he had come to the castle, calling him a monster. Frel told Selvarat that he wasn't there for the castle, but rather, he had come for her. Selvarat asked him how he knew her name, inquiring if they had met before. Frel assured her that he would help her remember everything soon. The scene shifted to Frel's memory, an underground power plant deep inside a dungeon. It was a place they considered home. They had no names, only a series of numbers as their identification code. They excavated minerals and executed their programmed objectives. It was impossible to say how many times they had repeated this sequence. It must have begun the moment they were born. This repetitive sequence was, after all, the very reason for their existence. Then, some of them, including himself, began to develop egos. Their lives remained the same even after they had developed an ego, because that was the very purpose of their being. One day, an incident transformed him. Selvarat appeared in their domain. She asked everyone if there were any ego monsters present. She knew there was a higher probability that monsters would develop egos after experiencing a severe shock. She ordered her subordinates not to kill them with a single blow, but rather to torture them viciously. She then instructed everyone to begin the mission. A ruthless genocide commenced. Selvarat began to crush and break the monsters. She told everyone that if any of them observed a monster acting suspiciously or unnaturally, that was the one. They needed many more of them, so she instructed them to observe carefully. They all agreed to follow her instructions. Frel was hiding there, witnessing the piled corpses of his kind. The genocide did not cease. The first thing he felt was the instinct of survival. He wanted to escape before they could kill him. But then Selvarat discovered him. She was about to seize him and take him to the torture room. At that moment, he believed it was the end. He wished he had never developed an ego and began to ponder the purpose of their birth. Suddenly, Selvarat was attacked. She erupted in rage, demanding to know who in their right mind dared to assault her. She saw a man with a blank face. He was the same man with a cross who had met Ignis in the forest. He told Selvarat that there used to be ethics in the old days, even in the game. He declared he would teach her a lesson and called her an idiot. The man with a cross, who was essentially a monster, leaped on his Selvarat. Suddenly, an explosion occurred. He grabbed Selvarat and sat on her, asking her to grant him a favor. He asked her to be a clean user. Selvarat wondered what this man was. The man knew that they revived after being killed and warned her that he would kill her now. Before he could do anything, Selvarat utilized her technology and escaped from there in a second. With a sudden flash, she vanished. The man wondered if she had escaped. After she disappeared, the man asked Frel, who was still in his monster form, what he would do. The man turned his face away, as he did not care at all. After that, one of his kind approached him and began speaking to him. He started feeling something squirming inside him. An intense ray of light enveloped him, and he could finally identify that emotion. He transformed into human form and began asking himself the reason for his existence. He questioned what he was and the purpose of his being. Well, he guessed he could not remain there any longer. And that is how his adventure commenced. He yearned to discover his true identity. He walked and walked, traversing woods and deserts. Leaving countless footprints, he marched onward. Countless days passed, and in the end, he had exhausted himself without finding any answers. Frustration weighed him down, and Frel collapsed on the ground. Now he couldn't remember his way back. He reflected on his life, which had been happy before. He wondered if he had come too far. He retraced his steps, questioning where it had all gone wrong. A girl appeared, named Bandon Kimihyak, a warrior. She asked Frel what he was doing on her hunting grounds. She grabbed him, held him up, and told him he should answer when someone asked him a question. She raged, unable to comprehend why the man was acting so weak on someone else's hunting grounds. She told him to log off, and Frel asked her what he should do. She grew aggressive and punched Frel. She decided she would tell him what he should do. She continued to beat him while he was being battered. He wondered how much time had passed. He realized something, the source of this pain. She believed that everything was because of her. Frel was certain that if he could only eliminate her, he would be able to discover the reason for his existence. A beam of light with powerful waves began emanating from his body. He grabbed Kimihyak's face and scratched it. With a sudden booming sound, he sent her crashing to the ground. With the joy of having found a goal and the hope of being freed from these frustrating emotions, he embarked on an adventure. The scene moved forward to Selvarat and Frel. Selvarat saw that he was a monster harboring a grudge against her. However, she couldn't recall why, yet she grinned, believing that everything would be resolved if she simply killed him. Frel told Selvarat that it was his line, and he leaped towards Selvarat. They both engaged in battle, and as soon as they began attacking each other, a booming sound resonated. On the contrary, Tinia asked them if they should now begin. She informed them that she was an alchemist and utilized potions to activate her skills, meaning she was formidable against liquid-based abilities. She told them she wouldn't get her hopes up regarding their abilities. Olivia hadn't even considered using her skills on Tinia anyway. She activated her skill, Slime Touch, on Raihelm. She asked Tinia how this was, and then apologized to her. She told her that this was a fight she had to win for Ignis' sake, a fight she could not lose. Tinia observed Olivia's keen battle sense. She asked Olivia if they should eliminate that nuisance. She activated her skill, Freezing Potion, and struck Olivia with it. Olivia dashed toward Tinia and punched her. Tinia remarked that it was a fierce blow, but she informed Olivia that she wouldn't be able to win with just that. Tinia smacked Olivia, who tried to protect herself. With a sudden boom, she sent Olivia flying far away from her. Olivia told Tinia that choosing the forest as the battlefield was a mistake. Olivia knew her enhanced body, achieved through Slime Touch, could not be maintained for too long. She didn't have much time, but it was worth the attempt. She knew she required a lot of mana, but she figured it didn't matter because there were plenty of flowers in the field. Ignis was awaiting the device's activation. A notification appeared, informing her that 99 of the mana disruption was active. Suddenly, another notification displayed 100 completion of the mana disruption. A flashy light enveloped the entire area, and Ignis saw that the device was finally activated. She slashed the cage's wall, and the wall shattered. Lard, along with other monsters, was saved. Lard thanked her for rescuing them, and Ignis instructed them not to be captured again. Lard embraced Ignis, telling her that he would never forget her. Cynthia observed a power outage and wondered if it was a mana disruption skill. It was evident to her who was behind this. She saw that the prison was broken, and the monsters were attempting to escape the dungeon. She noticed that they were going on a rampage. She knew starting the plan was a little early, but she believed she would be fine. She felt the time had come to teach those mischievous individuals some manners. On the other hand, a battle was raging between Selvarat and Frel. They both stood before each other. He continued to attack her, but Selvarat blocked all of his assaults. She was wearing a machine on her arm, and she attacked Frel, firing bullets at him. Selvarat then began punching Frel. While she was battering him, she asked him if he had claimed to be there for her. She brutally smacked him, noting that he even had the audacity to kill his own kind of monster a while ago. Frel fell to the ground. He wondered why he had been born only to experience this pain. He wished he had never been born. He had walked countless paths and endured many hardships. He always felt frustrated, and his heart burned hot as if on fire. As time passed, his goal became clear and obvious. He thought he had just defeated her and asked Selvarat if his assumption was correct. Selvarat laughed. Although she didn't know what personal issues he had with her, she told him that there was only one reason for his birth. She told him that the reason for his birth was to be taken to the torture room and to be used as a tool for the grand plan. She told him that she would knock him out just in case. but she had given him a fair warning. Although she knew this might be shocking, she activated her skill, Electric Orb, and attacked Frel. Frel blocked and countered her attack. He still stood safe and sound, having successfully survived her hit. He told Selvarat that he had studied her quite thoroughly. He knew that she always used an electrical attack as her final blow. He complimented her, stating that she was performing exactly as he expected. The special passive skills for robot-class monsters with an ego were Battery and Overcharge. As he grew, so did his battery capacity. His stats surged explosively when charged with electrical attacks. Overcharge occurred when an attack surpassed the battery's capacity, significantly reducing MP and HP, and awakening a unique state. He drew his sword to unleash a super sword slash. He activated the quick slash truth and attacked Selvarat with it. Selvarat staggered after being hit, and she was defeated by him. She asked Frel if everything was resolved now that he had defeated her. He refused. Selvarat laughed upon hearing him. She questioned him if he thought things would change if he simply eliminated her, just because she was the source of his pain. She called him naive. She then told Frel about the desires of different humans. Some wondered if there was a way out of poverty, and some sought a good job. Some wished to achieve their dreams or acquire what they desired. Someone longed to meet the love of their life. She believed everybody endlessly sought their goals and meaning in life. She questioned him if he thought that living in a modern society that had undergone tremendous development was less painful. She knew only a few happy humans. Selvarat laughed and told Frel that emotions were not as simple as he thought. However, Frel already knew that humans revived infinitely, and revenge was pointless. He asked himself what he desired if he didn't want revenge. It felt awful to him. The scene changed to Olivia and Tinia. Olivia was attempting to free herself from the skill Tinia had used on her. Tinia activated her skill, Flame Potion. Blazes surrounded the entire area, and Olivia observed that it seemed Tinia was holding back her power, but she knew she couldn't get close to her. Olivia saw that the water had melted from the ice and then frozen the ground. Tinia laughed, finding it much easier than she had anticipated. She told Olivia not to worry because she wouldn't kill her, but she let Olivia know that what awaited her could be far worse than death. Tinia decided to deplete some of Olivia's HP. She approached Olivia and slashed her with her sword. She continued to slice her up, and Olivia became drenched in blood. Olivia stood still, thinking this much blood should be enough. She activated the skill flower stock, and Tinia began to smile. She asked Olivia if those were for her, and Olivia started munching on the flower stock. The ice grew colder and colder, and one of the slimes took shape. Well, Olivia knew that she was a slime, and her blood was similar, allowing her to use her special skill in a field with flowers and sufficient blood. She activated a special skill called Proliferation. Olivia raised her arrow, and Tinia sensed a presence. She turned her head and saw Olivia standing there. She wondered if Olivia had cloned herself. Meanwhile, Olivia appeared from behind her and smacked Tinia. She asked Tinia where she was looking, and Tinia noticed that Olivia had removed her shoes on the ice. Olivia bumped Tinia's head. Tinia was surprised by Olivia's tremendous energy. She told Olivia that Cynthia had instructed her to capture her, but she didn't care. She decided to kill her immediately. Tinia was about to use her potions. Olivia shattered the potions. The potion bottles broke. Olivia knew Tinia's battle style relied on various potions to activate her skills. The last potion she chose was Lightning Stroke. Olivia observed Tinia's movements, which were exactly as she expected. Tinia told Olivia that ego monsters could overcome species differences, believing it was quite odd, but that's how this game worked. She didn't know why they developed egos, but one thing was certain, Tinia told Olivia. They were monsters meant to be killed in this game. Come to think of it, the hunter she had met before had said the same thing, that they only existed to become experience points. But Emma never harmed anyone, and Kia had lost his family. She also remembered Ignis' brother, who had died for the sake of their game. Even if this world was designed like that, she clenched her hands. Olivia believed that they could not be a reason to disappear. Tinia laughed, thinking they would never understand each other, and proved herself by surviving. She glared at Olivia, and light emitted from her body. Ignis had told her something when they were changing. She remembered Ignis' words, who had said that this item couldn't block physical attacks, but could negate one attribute attack. When the time came, she had instructed her not to hesitate to use it, assuring Olivia that it would protect her wherever she was. Olivia told Tinia that if she had pierced her with an ice skill, she would have lost. Tinia saw Olivia wearing the cape. She knew it was the other participant's cape. Tinia activated the skill, Ice Wave. Tinia knew it took time to cast a significant skill. Meanwhile, she decided to block the attack with a wall first. She activated the skill Memoria de Emma. Olivia drew her arrow and fired it toward Tinia. A sudden boom occurred, and Olivia was seen staggering. She knew that the world might not accept them, but she wouldn't give up so easily. She lay on the ground, so relieved that she had done her part. On the other hand, Cynthia proceeded to the location where Ignis was causing considerable disruption. She believed it was time to decisively defeat Ignis. As soon as she entered the area, she was assailed by Ignis' flame strike. She remained unharmed by the blazes of Ignis' attack. She grinned and told Ignis that she had provided a warm welcome. She addressed Ignis by name, and Ignis was shocked that Cynthia had arrived there. Cynthia's guards inquired if she was all right. Ignis ignited a circle of fire around her, warning them not to interfere. Cynthia ignored her, leaping directly into the flames. Cynthia told Ignis that she wouldn't decline a fight. She asked Ignis if she had enjoyed her masterpiece in the dungeon. Ignis questioned Cynthia about her intentions, and Cynthia laughed upon hearing Ignis' inquiry. She assured Ignis that she would discover it after this confrontation. Cynthia knew that Ignis had helped the monsters escape by destroying their cages. She had also managed to temporarily disable the castle's protective skills. She believed it was the opportune moment for the raid. Suddenly, a door slammed shut, blocking their exit. Lard wondered what was happening, as they couldn't get out. They believed they were trapped. Cynthia approached Ignis and asked her what her next move was. Ignis observed that Cynthia likely assumed everything was proceeding according to her plan, but she corrected her, stating that this was not the case. Suddenly, multiple explosions occurred at different locations inside the castle. Cynthia witnessed several explosions across the castle. She smirked, realizing that he had made his move cleverly. She finally saw a sword that was worthy of her attention. A man stepped forward, wearing a cape that obscured his face. The man instructed his members to capture the escaping monsters, as they would serve as substantial evidence for Cynthia's downfall. The man was the yellow-haired individual, Lugo, and he was the leader of the anti-Cynthia team. Cynthia alerted her troops, ordering them not to allow a single monster to escape into their hands. The troops ran toward them, acting upon Cynthia's orders. They were sprinting at full speed toward Lugo. Lugo and his anti-Cynthia team stood firm, determined to defeat them. He then began to recall his past. This was a memory of Cynthia and him in earlier times. He had been the quietest child at school. Back then, he lacked courage. He used to sit alone, always remaining calm. Unlike him, Cynthia was a social butterfly. Every time he looked at her, he felt smaller than ever. He was resting his head on his desk when Cynthia approached him. She offered him his milk. It was their first encounter. Cynthia gave him his milk because he hadn't taken it earlier. Lugo initially thought that Cynthia was merely pretending to be kind. He believed her sweet behavior toward him wouldn't last long. But as they spent more time together, he realized he was no longer afraid. He came to understand that Cynthia was a good child. One day, Lugo asked Cynthia if she wanted to play a game together. He told her it was a way of thanking her, and he tried to teach her the game. Cynthia agreed to play the game with him. However, she had already told him that if the game proved boring, she would abandon it. Lugo assured Cynthia that the game was entertaining, telling her not to be so hasty. This is how it all began for Cynthia, the rank number 5. The scene shifted back to the present, where one of the monsters observed fire all around. He wondered what was happening there. Suddenly, One of the members of the anti-Cynthia team threw a rope toward him and captured him. Cynthia's troops slashed the rope, freeing that monster. The anti-Cynthia team member knew that Cynthia's troops would not relinquish their monsters easily. The troops ran toward the anti-Cynthia team, and their battle commenced. One of the men observed the fight, wondering if a war had erupted among the guilds. Suddenly, he became frightened as two swords clashed near him. The anti-Cynthia team member activated his skill, Hammer Strike. He slammed his hammer onto the ground, and the ground erupted. Many of Cynthia's troop members were injured in the blast. One of the troop members activated his skill, Iron Will. He sprinted toward the anti-Cynthia team. The team members saw the troops performing well and decided to pursue Cynthia. Lugo ran after Cynthia, who was far from the explosions. She observed the destruction caused by the fighting. Cynthia stood near Ignis and asked her if she was correct in assuming that Ignis desired the crown she was wearing on her head. She removed the crown and told Ignis she was being reasonable. If Ignis defeated her, the crown would be hers. She welcomed this confrontation, and Ignis erupted in rage. She demanded of Cynthia how she dared to kill her brother and take his item. Cynthia released her hair and asked Ignis if she wasn't curious about why she was rank number 5. Rush, the double-class sword player, held the 6th rank. Cynthia questioned Ignis if she found it odd that Cynthia, a non-combat player, was ranked higher. However, Cynthia decided to reveal the reason herself. She activated her AoE skill, triggering the entrapment of 10,000 swords, which began to descend throughout the entire castle. Cynthia informed her that the reason for her high rank was her profession as a warrior priestess. Cynthia stood before Ignis, their gazes locked. Cynthia rushed toward Ignis, skidding to a halt as she reached her. Cynthia pressed a button, and chains materialized, binding Ignis with a tap. Ignis immediately used her sword to break free from the chains. Although she shattered them, they instantly reformed, gripping her sword tightly. The chains then wrenched the sword from her grasp, and Cynthia seized it. She taunted Ignis, asking if she was comfortable losing her weapon so early in the game. She examined the weapon closely, noting that it was quite impressive. Suddenly, a blast occurred, yet Cynthia remained completely unharmed. She realized that Ignis had deliberately relinquished the sword. Ignis, rushing from behind, attempted to strike Cynthia. Cynthia bound herself with chains. Ignis tried to locate her. Ignis broke the chains once more with her sword. Ignis stared intently at Cynthia. Flames began to flare wildly around the area. Ignis leaped from the blazes to the outside, throwing stars at Cynthia. Cynthia observed the stars Ignis was flinging toward her. Meanwhile, Lugo arrived on the scene. Cynthia hadn't seen Lugo in quite some time. Lugo contacted his team members through the system, informing them that they had made contact with Cynthia. He questioned one of his team members about their position. The team member informed Lugo that Cynthia's AoE skill was devastating, as 90 of their combat force had been annihilated. The team member told Lugo that they could not buy any more time. Anyway, right there, Lugo told Cynthia that it had been a while. Cynthia retorted that she disliked clingy boys. Lugo held a device in his hand, declaring to Cynthia that her unethical exploitation of ego monsters could never be forgiven. He told her that this was not why he had created the technology or recommended this game to her. He reminded Cynthia of her betrayal. She had immediately betrayed him as soon as he handed the technology over to her. He demanded her reason for doing so, recognizing it as a senseless scheme. So, he asked her what game she was truly playing. Ignis realized that Lugo was the inventor of the ego poaching technology. She wondered why he had done that. She observed Lugo closely, sensing his sadness. In a sorrowful voice, Lugo asked Cynthia why she had done this, questioning what had transformed her into such a person. She told Lugo that she had grown tired of all the sentimentality. After Lugo's question, she asked him if there was anything else he wished to ask her. Lugo yelled at Cynthia, shouting for her to regain control of herself. He fiercely told her that once the world discovered what she had done to those sentient monsters, she would be utterly ruined. He asked her if she had ever considered the inevitable backlash and reprisal from the people beyond this game, in the real world. A plus sign appeared above Lugo. Cynthia then asked Lugo what people could do after finding out. Before she could say anything further, the plus sign fell onto Lugo, crashing down on him. Cynthia knew the die was cast, and there was no turning back. She looked at Ignis, who was still present, and asked her if she didn't think it was a peculiar game. Multiple protection skills were safeguarding her castle from breaches, yet someone had defied the odds and walked directly through the ironclad shields. She recalled when an unknown individual had entered the castle by bypassing her shield. She had questioned that person about how they had managed to pass through the shield, but the individual had vanished as soon as she spoke to him. He had left behind one unique item, which turned out to be an enchanted stone that controlled the ego monster, Lugo, and she had utilized this stone to invent many devices. Ignis wondered if he was the first person to provide the ego poaching technology. Cynthia told Ignis that the man had broken into her castle without even employing any skills. He had given her an item that could not possibly exist within the game. She was certain about who was behind all of this. She urged Ignis to consider it. Monsters like her were running rampant, and someone was allowing her to execute her plans. She asked Ignis if she didn't believe that her actions were clearly justified. Ignis told her to stop her nonsense, asserting that Cynthia was merely rambling to rationalize her actions. Cynthia, after listening to her, decided to prove her point. She brought up a window screen in front of her. She clicked on some options, and a beeping sound began to emit. In an instant, all the monsters began to ascend into the air. As the line of monsters formed in the air, Cynthia decided to have some fun, asking Ignis, with a laugh, if they should begin now. She was clearly enjoying herself. Ignis was shocked by the sight. She asked Cynthia what she was trying to do. Cynthia reminded her that she had already told her she would find out soon enough. She held a book in her hand, informing Ignis that it was a Necronomicon. It was a book of curses, and one of only 3 copies in the game world. She further explained that this book possessed a very special function. It could forcibly stitch together the souls of the dead. She then tossed the book upside down. After tossing the book, she told Ignis that this was the end. She grabbed all those monsters, and within a second, a powerful blast occurred. Ignis stared at all of this with a blank expression, her eyes wide open. She collapsed to the ground after witnessing the event. She asked Cynthia what she had done, and an intense flash of light filled the area. Ignis continued to stare. It was a boss-level monster with the error code 17. A gigantic monster then appeared. Ignis again asked Cynthia what she had just done. The beast urged Ignis to run, and Ignis gasped, choked by the sight. Cynthia told Ignis that she could gain partial damage experience from boss-level monsters, something she knew from her fight with Rush. She asked Ignis if she didn't remember it. She continued to explain that she could gain 2.5 times more experience from ego monsters than from normal ones, but she informed Ignis that there was a penalty. If they died, they would never respawn. However, she let her know that this special chimera was slightly different. Even after sustaining partial damage, it could be healed again. She could repeat the process indefinitely, depending on how she utilized it. It could become a ground for infinitely accumulating experience. She believed that by using this chimera, she could ascend to rank number 1 and become the true answer in this game world. Ignis knew that the flames could no longer be revived. She remembered Lard, who had hugged her. Ignis asked Cynthia one thing, questioning why she was doing all of this. Cynthia believed there was no point in answering her question. They would never understand each other until the story concluded. That was all Ignis needed to hear. She raised her sword. Blazes surrounded her, and Cynthia decided to do something before they proceeded. She ordered all her troops to guard the giant monster in the center. The troops surrounded the colossal creature. Cynthia concluded that it had been a while since she had engaged in actual combat. She decided it was time to unleash her full power. So, she activated the skill shield of the unique field and sanctuary number 2. Ignis observed her activating the unique field. Cynthia told Ignis that it created an exclusive field that no other players could enter until the player using the skill was eliminated. No one could exit the field. Ignis appreciated this simplicity. Cynthia told Ignis that it would be better not to look at her because she was a priestess. She acknowledged it had been a while, but decided to perform a special demonstration in Ignis' honor. Ignis knew that the priest class excelled in close combat. Cynthia was a fighter with greater combat power than Rush. Ignis knew she was a monk, and Cynthia prepared for the fight. The non-title match began, and Cynthia raised her hands. At the same time, Ignis also raised her sword and sprinted forward. Ignis and Cynthia's eyes shone brightly, and Cynthia punched Ignis. Ignis quivered. Well, she knew that to find her brother, she could not afford to lose. The fight commenced between a dragon who had lost her brother and the one who desired to be the answer to the world. They knew that their opposing values would clash until one of them collapsed. During their fierce battle, a powerful blast occurred. Cynthia charged towards Ignis, who likewise rushed at her, sword in hand. Their blades met, and their powers collided as they stared each other down, clashing repeatedly. Ignis activated her dragon's calling skill, unleashing fire upon Cynthia. Despite being engulfed in flames, Cynthia emerged unharmed and dashed towards Ignis. Cynthia leaped at Ignis and, with immense force, punched the ground, causing it to shatter. Ignis stared at Cynthia, then began to strike her in return. Cynthia blocked Ignis' attacks. Ignis delivered a slicing blow, forcing Cynthia to skid backward. Cynthia then activated her whirlwind kick skill, striking Ignis. Ignis was injured by the powerful kick. However, Ignis recovered her strength, fueled by the acquisition of her rage ego. Still, she felt the intensity of the fight, but was confident she had enough to win. Ignis slashed Cynthia, who laughed, and told Ignis that this warm-up was sufficient to assess her skill levels. She doubted that Ignis had fully acquired her ego yet. Cynthia smirked, stating that she was in control of her own ego. She expressed pity for wasting Ignis' body, recalling that the man with the cross had said something similar. Cynthia told Ignis that she had experimented with many ego monsters and thus understood them. She asked Ignis if she could imagine a newborn spirit in an adult's body, questioning what Ignis thought would happen to her. She informed Ignis that with numerous nerves and muscles in the body, humans gradually learned to use their bodies as they grew. However, Ignis couldn't fully control her own body without a fully developed ego. She urged Ignis to consider this, questioning how she could completely control her body when she was just learning to take her first step. This game system was uniquely designed so that a monster learned to use their body upon acquiring an ego. She informed Ignis that her power wasn't sealed, rather, she simply didn't know how to access it. Cynthia began to laugh, finding it remarkable. She asked Ignis if it was almost identical to how a human developed. Ignis was stunned by this revelation. She couldn't believe it, knowing that if it were true, her entire journey had been a process of acquiring the ego of rage during her long, unaccomplished mission. Her rage had been building as she lamented her inability to save a loved one. After finally obtaining rage, she had begun to learn how to use the Bodhi's other skills. Cynthia saw the irony in this. She asked Ignis if she also found it ironic. In this system, monsters like her with egos acquired emotions and gradually became real humans. So, she wondered if it was true that, as a monster, the more she experienced emotions and hardships like humans, the stronger she became. Cynthia looked at Ignis. She knew that Ignis was seeking to avenge her brother's death against the human she despised, yet she had practically become human herself. She asked Ignis if they should conclude their fight, then activated her skill, Red Lotus Posture. After activating her skill, she stood upright. She could feel the vibrations in the air, a pressing sensation she had never experienced before. Ignis swung and attacked her. Cynthia was about to strike Ignis. She activated her skill, the way of the dragon, and hit Ignis. An explosion occurred, and Ignis screamed. She began to ponder how she could defeat Cynthia in this fight, in Cynthia's own domain, with her overwhelming dominance. She had no clue how to beat her with such an insufficient ego. She remained bewildered. She saw Cynthia press a button. She remembered that the notepad falling on the ground had the same diagram as Pharrell's. She realized that the monster participant in this contest must be after that, suggesting it might be Cynthia's weakness. Ignis activated her skill, Road of Fire, creating paths of fire. Ignis pointed her sword towards Cynthia. Meanwhile, a blast occurred, but Cynthia was not fooled this time. Cynthia grabbed Ignis' collar and held her up. She told Ignis this was the end and warned her that she would stitch her into the chimera just like the rest. Ignis screamed. She knew that if she wanted to find her brother, she had to win. She realized there was no other way. She remembered Taffas. Just then, Olivia appeared. She leaped toward Ignis, informing her of her presence. Ignis remembered that Olivia had returned to save her, just as she had before. Olivia activated her skill, Memoria de Emma. With the activation of that skill, she directed her attacks towards Cynthia. Cynthia turned her head and looked at Olivia. A flashing light enveloped the entire area. A sudden blast occurred. Cynthia wondered if this was merely her imagination. However, she was certain that Ignis was indeed moving toward her cross. Cynthia raised her leg and kicked Ignis. Ignis skidded backward. Cynthia laughed and told Ignis that she had managed to knock down her proctor. Olivia was about to join their fight, but Ignis stopped her from getting involved. Ignis asked Olivia if she was hurt, and Olivia told Ignis that. She was a little broken, but assured Ignis that she was fine. Ignis grinned. She had regained her stability. Cynthia believed that Olivia must be an emotional anchor for Ignis. She thought that if she was lucky, she might witness Ignis' ego evolve, and then she would become a superb ingredient for her chimera. She decided to kill Olivia. However, Ignis and Olivia were both looking at Cynthia. Cynthia sprinted toward them. Cynthia's murderous energy was directed at Ignis. Olivia saw Ignis and asked her if she was correct that the cross was Cynthia's vulnerability. Ignis was surprised to hear Olivia, asking her how she knew about it. Olivia told Ignis that she needed her to hold out for 30 seconds. They both stood face to face. Cynthia punched Ignis, who screamed, but she knew she had to hold back for 30 seconds. She activated her calling skills. However, Cynthia activated her Red Lotus posture number 2. Fire blazed, and Cynthia glared at her. Ignis said that the attack was going to be massive. She activated her skill, Shield of Flame, and Cynthia clenched her hand. Cynthia activated her Red Lotus slash and hit Ignis. An explosion occurred in the ashes of burns, and a notification informed them about the passive skill dragon's tenacity, which stated that fatal damage could be survived with 1 HP. Cynthia asked Ignis if this was a passive skill, presuming she had 1 HP left. She began to step toward Ignis, who was standing in front of Olivia, to protect her. Cynthia started laughing and told her that her game was over now. She was about to grab Ignis' face and tell her it was time to be stitched into the chimera. Blood drops began to fall on the ground. Olivia was overjoyed to see that 30 seconds had passed. When mana dropped to 0, HP was forcibly jacked up, and the player often fell into a state of Monners, an extreme, life-threatening condition. She decided to use her final skill, Proliferation, which consumed her last HP. Olivia held a bomb in her hand, which she threw at Cynthia. After the extreme explosion, Cynthia remained relatively unharmed. She asked Olivia if this was her plan, calling her pathetic for her strange plan-making and labeling it as lame. Olivia told Cynthia to wait and see what would happen. Ignis had no idea how Olivia had discovered Cynthia's weakness. After her test, Olivia had devised a plan with another monster. Meanwhile, Frel appeared. He commended Olivia for her outstanding performance. He activated his skill, Quick/Truth, and attacked Cynthia's cross. As long as there was someone to fight against, the flame of ego would not be extinguished. He split the cross after entering the fight. Cynthia saw Frel, who had arrived. Frel, stepping between them, told Cynthia that she was the one who had ordered Selvarat to kill them, asking if he was mistaken. Frel decided to begin the counterattack. He and Ignis held their swords and stood before Cynthia. Olivia saw Frel. She was so relieved that he had arrived on time. Olivia wanted to help, but she fell to the ground, apologizing to them because she was not in a state to assist. Ignis saw Olivia lying on the ground. Olivia told Ignis not to worry about her, urging her to just fight and win this battle. Ignis told Olivia to leave the fight to her. She and Frel rushed towards Cynthia. They believed that Cynthia would likely use the cross to enhance her skills, so without the cross, she wouldn't be able to use any critical skills. They had reached the end of their ropes, and Frel's remaining battery was at 6. The system notified him that he was awakening from overclocking. On the other hand, Ignis' remaining HP was less than 1, and Dragon's tenacity was absent. Olivia's remaining HP was also less than 1, indicating a critical mana deficiency. They knew they had only one shot. Ignis and Frel struck Cynthia with their swords, and Cynthia leaped upward as red and blue light emitted from their blades. They clenched their hands, gripping their swords more tightly. Ignis activated her skill, Rage Slash, whereas Frel activated his Quick Slash. They both directed their attacks towards Cynthia. Meanwhile, Cynthia activated her hidden skill, Iron Maiden. A giant Iron Maiden materialized. Cynthia thanked them both for sharing her cross, calling them both dummies, and the Iron Maiden opened. They saw chains emerging from it. Frel realized she was targeting Olivia. He thought they could win if they fended off this skill. He used his sword to break the chain, but the chains were unbreakable. He realized that the cross was merely a distraction. She had deliberately flaunted her cross. He thought that they might not be able to beat her after all. Ignis tapped Frel's shoulder. She told him to take care of Olivia. She rushed toward Olivia and saved her from the chains. She herself became ensnared in those chains. Olivia saw that Ignis had sacrificed herself to save her. Ignis thanked Olivia for coming to save her. She was happy Olivia was there for the rest of her journey too. She also apologized to her for not being able to protect Emma. Ignis smiled, but she was tied in ropes and slammed inside the Iron Maiden. Olivia couldn't believe that Ignis had been captured inside. She thought it was all a joke. Cynthia told Olivia to believe it, stating that Ignis had entered it and would surely die. Olivia fell to the ground. She asked Cynthia why humans were so cruel to them, even though they had done nothing wrong. She decided not to forgive humans, and Frel stopped Olivia. He told Olivia there was no time to be rash. Olivia activated her first ego, Rage. Suddenly, another window screen appeared, displaying the ultimate skill, Seed of Fate. A glow began, and another notification stated, "Plant the seed in the ground and wait for 180 seconds X random value. Then the legendary level flower will bloom." Cynthia told Olivia that it was not a skill that activated immediately. She asked Olivia what she was trying to do. Frel blocked Olivia to protect her. Olivia knew it was a time-consuming, flawed skill. She couldn't hold out for 180 seconds, but she thought she had to save Ignis. Ignis was back there again. She knew she barely had any HP left and had even been struck by this skill. Ignis knew if this was indeed how she would die. She thought that she couldn't die. She clenched her hand. Meanwhile, she saw a man whom she had seen before. The man was seeing Ignis after a long time. Ignis was standing in front of that man. She knew she could sense that he was someone significant to her, but she couldn't recall who he was. The man told her it was okay and that she would soon piece together all the puzzles in her memory. More importantly, there was something he needed to say to her. He knew that humans didn't die, they would return to life. He told her that her adventure would never be complete. He told her that they, being ego monsters, on the other hand, did not respawn. He asked Ignis if she remembered what he had told her before and reminded her that he had already told her this was a world created by God. Nothing would significantly change the intended results. He asked Ignis what she was going to do. Ignis said that if he meant to say that humans came back to life and sought revenge, which was meaningless, she thought that if that were true, then what she believed must be right. She remembered Olivia and realized she still had work to do. She didn't care if she couldn't get rid of humans for good, she needed to save her brother. He was glad she said that. He told her that she had been predestined to die after being hit by Cynthia's skill. Plus, there was no way to get out of here except this. Suddenly, a flashing light surrounded Ignis. Something strange appeared before her. She saw a red-colored cube in front of her. He said they should let the game continue. Cynthia saw the Iron Maiden begin to shine. Cynthia wondered what had happened. She knew that Ignis should have vanished immediately with that much HP left. Cynthia was stunned by it. She didn't even believe it could happen. She saw the hidden attribute called the Bond of Family. A window appeared, informing them about Taphis Fong, which resonated with Ignis, the Dragon of Destruction. Cynthia became excited to see that. She believed the real fun would start now. She leaped toward Ignis. Ignis held her sword and struck Cynthia with all the power she possessed. The dragon's first ego was activated, and she enabled her rage truth. She was holding Rego's sword called the Madura Core. Cynthia laughed, knowing that she couldn't let this slide. She knew her ultimate skill, and activated her final form, which was Trance Extreme. They were looking at each other, and Ignis gripped her sword tightly. Cynthia leaped toward Ignis and activated her skill, White Glow. Ignis dashed toward Cynthia with her skill, called the Flame of Eternity. Their powers clashed. Olivia was lying on the ground in her weakened state. A strong light dominated the area. A blast occurred with a thundering noise. Everything near both of them was destroyed. Frel was still covering Olivia so that she remained unharmed. They both shouted out the names of Ignis and Cynthia. The boy, who was actually Taphis, pushed Ignis and told her not to lose. Ignis realized this was right. Her brother Taphis was always by her side. She thanked her brother and bounced towards Cynthia. It all began when Cynthia was young, with a loving family and good friends. She had always thought that her life was quite happy. Every day was filled with laughter. Her name in the real world was Han Kiha, who was 14 years old. Her only complaint was that she couldn't spend much time with her parents because they worked. It was another day of eating alone with a thread of hope that her parents might come home early. She always stayed home. Finally, her prayers were answered, and happiness found its way home. Kiha's mom patted her head and asked her how her school was. Kiha was happy to hear her mom's concern. Well, she told her mom that middle school classes weren't all that difficult. She asked her mom if she had the day off, and her mom told her they had been leaving her alone too much because tomorrow was the weekend. She asked her if they should go somewhere. Kiha was overjoyed and started jumping with excitement. Kia's mom asked her dad what he thought about going tomorrow, questioning if he was up for it. He felt great about the plan and agreed to it. Kiha thought this ideal picture of happiness should never be broken. The following day, the three of them got ready to go and have fun. Kiha was running, too excited. Her father told her not to run, fearing she might fall. Kiha was sure that today would be the best day of her life. They sat in the car to leave for their fun outing. After reaching their destination, Kiha was so happy. She prayed to God that her happiness should never be destroyed. She had so much fun after spending the whole day with her parents. While going back, Kia's mom asked her if she had fun. Kiha told her mom she had so much fun and was eager to return home. Her mom smiled, seeing that Kiha never seemed to tire. She told Kiha not to run because she could hurt herself that way. She was crossing the road while running when a truck honked. Kiha stopped there. She began to wonder, looking at the car, if she was now going to die because the truck was about to crush her. The vehicle immediately stopped, and a screeching noise came from it. Kia's mom ran toward her to save her. She hugged her tightly. Perhaps it was out of relief that she was still alive, but she felt a strange, inexplicable feeling. What caught her eyes then was her dad, who hadn't even moved a step and hadn't even tried to save her. She sat in shock, highly disappointed in her dad. She wondered why her dad hadn't moved a bit. She saw that her dad didn't even take a single step, and she couldn't believe this, even though he was her father. He should have tried to save her. Her mom turned Kiha's face toward her and asked her if she was okay. She asked her if she was hurt, and Kiha told her mom she was okay. The wholeness she had began to crack little by little. She called her dad a coward, and since then, she started seeing everything differently. Everything about her dad frustrated her. She believed her dad was a coward, and her mom had thrown herself to protect her, but he hadn't even taken a step. She started wondering about her friends. Some of them genuinely cared about her, but some of them were only looking out for themselves. She began to think about her teachers playing favorites in class, cowardly parents, fair-weather friends, unprofessional tutors, pretentious people, selfish people, and cruel people. She wished she could unsee all of it. Suddenly, her friend Lugo tapped on her shoulder and asked her how the game was going and if she was having fun yet. She laughed and assured him that she was having so much fun. After that, her life slowly began to change. Kia's father came to her and asked if she wanted to go somewhere this weekend. She refused her dad, even without looking at him. She had already realized her dad wouldn't protect her when she was in danger. She believed that her dad was a coward who didn't step up or take charge at essential moments, and that was the type of person he was. On the day when she reached level 40 in the game called Hidden Ego, an unexpected, life-changing event occurred. She received a message from her mom, who informed her that her dad had been in a car accident. So, she told her to immediately come to the City Hall hospital. She was shocked after seeing her mom's message. Her dad was taken to the hospital, looking serious. She and her mom were waiting outside the operating theater. Her mom was constantly crying, but Kiha was still in shock, unable to process it at the moment. Her father's heartbeat stopped, and the car accident killed her dad. His death didn't feel real. The first thing she felt was a pang of guilt. She knew she hadn't done anything wrong, so she started questioning whether her thoughts were true. She knew that her dad had been terrible at that time. She started crying abruptly, and after that day, her life slowly fell apart little by little. After some time, she stepped inside the room. After her dad died, she started to eat alone more often, more like every day, and that's when a pro gamer caught her attention. The pro gamer said in an interview that her single mother had raised her alone. Everyone was uncertain, and she felt she was to blame for everything. Her father's death was an accident, but she felt like it was all her mistake. What lifted her out of the endless blaming was the game. This way, Kia heard about the game. She knew this swamp was constantly swallowing her up, but in the game world, she could escape the swamp. She became Cynthia in the game world. She put all her effort into the game. After a while, Lugo told her in the real world that he had heard she had already achieved a high rank. Kia knew his character had a rare career, so she asked him if he was an engineer. She asked him if he wanted to do something together. He agreed, but he thought she looked a bit different. Kia denied that she seemed a bit different. Later on, she wore the crown on her head in the game. They formed a guild named the Number Zero Guild. She then found Selvarat and Tinia too. She used to kill monsters. Lugo witnessed all of this with his own two eyes. Cynthia met Ignis and captured her in the castle dungeon. Lugo happened to know all of what Cynthia had been doing. Cynthia was heavily injured and wondered if she had been going in circles to reach this point. She thought she had found the answer. If only she could get a first place. She knew that victory was just around the corner. However, she wasn't sure. She told Ignis that she might be able to find the answer she had been looking for. She took off her crown, passed it to Ignis, and told her that this was the item she had been after. Ignis asked Cynthia what she would do now. She told Ignis not to worry because she wouldn't torture monsters anymore. She told Ignis that she had lost strength. She alerted her troops and instructed them not to touch the one in the red cloak and those with her. She ordered her troops to let them do whatever they wanted. She concluded with the words to Ignis that the fight was pretty good. Well, they still didn't know why they had acquired egos, but having a conscious mind could lead to a lot of suffering. Countless obstructions would lie in their path. So she decided to free Lard. She slashed the Chimera. After the Chimera was slashed by her, it freed all the monsters. Lard thanked Ignis. Ignis realized that having an ego was genuinely remarkable,